I'm just also would be agnostic about a 14 billion or whatever the number is at this point. Age. The concept of age itself.
Well, let me cut through that then and just ask this: which do you think is more accurate of a statement? The Earth is a few thousand years old, or the Earth is a few billion years old?
I would call that a false dichotomy.
It's really not. It's a really simple question.
Well, the fact that I don't know, I couldn't actually give you an answer.
You don't have to know the exact age to decide which is more accurate. The Earth is thousands of years old, and the Earth is billions of years old. It's the second one that I think is more accurate, but I don't know the exact age of the Earth.
Okay.
See?
So accuracy assumes some sort of methodology, right? To say accuracy assumes some sort of methodology to determine it, right? Yes or no? Yes or no, dude? Dude, you're asking me a question about accuracy, and I'm telling you...
Of which statement is more accurate?
If I just...
Or the Earth is billion.
If I just told you I don't have a mechanism for accuracy, your question assumes accuracy is already established. I'm telling you, I don't know. I don't know what accuracy would mean in regards to this question, because there's no measurement, and you don't even have the answer. If you were so certain here, when you say I think the accuracy is closer to this, I'm telling you from my view, I don't have access to the methodology to provide what you call accuracy. I don't even know what the margins of error would be, given that you have a method. Do you? What's the margin of error? What's the margin of error?
I think you're just trying to dodge my question.
That's a question to you. Ironically, you're just dodging my question. What's the margin of error?
I'm the one asking you a question.
Does accuracy...
That you clearly don't want to answer.
No, you're a question...
I am the question asker. I ask you a question.
You can't even answer your own question, dude.
Whatever age you think the world is.
Cool, I don't care.
If you look into the world...
No idea.
You see...
I have no idea.
You see development, right?
I have no idea.
Geological development.
I have no idea.
Biochemical development.
There's chemicals and stuff.
Alright, so is that it with him, Jimbo?
Yeah, I don't have an idea. His question is...
How old is the chemical?
1,000. I'm telling you, I don't even have the methodology.
The chemical in my brain told me it's a chemical.
I'm asking, does he? He's just telling us cool. I'm asking, what's the margin of error for the mechanism or the way in which you're determining age is accurate, considering you're using the word accurate?
Tell him, Jim.
He just goes into a filibuster. He's losing his shit. He's spurging.
Totally.
You'd like
All right. If you look out into the world, you see geological, biochemical, a ton of different kinds of development, including taxonomic and ecological development.
Okay.
So your contention is that all of this development...
What's up, rage bait? Yeah, right.
I said I don't have the capacity.
You're rage bait.
Hey, what's up, man? Audio, all right?
Well, what would you like to say?
What the hell? Okay, I just thought the first point kind of wrong, I think. 2, I think kind of wrong also. Definitely 3 is wrong. I don't really know or care about 4.
You have like arguments?
Yeah, sure. I'm just addressing the points before I argue against them. I mean, I don't know.
Let's go.
Do you not want to do this? You sound kind of bored.
Let's go one at a time.
Yeah, of course. So, Christianity is objectively proven. I mean, it might be, but I think as far as I'm aware, I've never seen a good case for it. Every other case is just like, oh, hey, this is what I believe, and you have to believe this because so-and-so. But I don't think I've ever seen a good case for it.
Well, I argue for the transcendental argument, so I think we have philosophical proof that Christianity is true.
Transcendental argument, is that the? You know what? I'm not even sure what that is. Is that the more like, oh, God has to exist, or am I wrong?
Yeah, I'd say like God is necessary. Like the fact that for you to even like be, God would be necessary for you to like.
But like I'm kind of basing off your name, but you're saying that.
Bro's got like I think he's with his family.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me now, or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry. So as far as I can tell, I mean, your name is pretty so I'm kind of assuming a little hard, but it sounds like you're
Uh,
saying, oh, God has to be necessary because so and so.
yeah, your mic, you're kind of muffled now.
I'm gonna leave. Right.
I can't hear you. Okay, I'm not sure what was going on there.
You can join the team or you can bitch and moan.
The hell was that? Did you fix your mic?
Yeah. So like the way you phrase the argument it just sounds like. I mean, your name is Presup, right?
Yeah.
So I just kind of assume, is this just a presuppositional argument?
Yeah. So the idea is everyone has like a starting point assumption. I start with Christ, and then I would argue that any other starting point would lead to like contradiction, incoherence. So like atheists would start with, I don't know, the laws of nature or something, but that wouldn't make sense. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't explain reality.
I mean, but does it have to? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think atheism can prove it, right? But like, if I just look at your viewpoint, it doesn't prove it. Like, a saying it doesn't prove it, right?
Well, it's like a challenge of saying like if we look at your view and we look at my view and we compare them, like your view has to provide the necessary preconditions. Okay, I think there's like too much background, dude. But the idea is that your view would have to provide the necessary preconditions for to
Yeah,
even
so like
make
the
an
first one,
argument.
I think it's impossible to prove like God exists.
You think it's impossible, huh?
hmm
Well, do you think is proof? Is it possible to prove anything?
Yes, it is.
So my argument is that like God would be necessary to prove something. That's my
But
argument.
that makes no sense because like if God is necessary to prove something, he does. How would that make sense if he doesn't exist? You can't prove he exists or not. So how will he be able to prove something if he doesn't exist? You have no
Because
evidence to provide.
I would take the fact that it's possible to prove something, and that would
No, no, no.
demonstrate.
It's possible to prove something with evidence. Yes,
Okay,
but
prove
there's no
that.
evidence to support God
Please
exists.
focus, but you're not focusing. So I take the fact that it's possible to prove things, and I go, what would necessarily be the case in order for that?
Okay, let me answer that. Hold on, before you continue. If let me make an example, right? If I had a gun and I shot someone,
You can't
and
say those words. You can't say those words.
oh, my fault. If I had a wait, what do you how the fuck
Bro,
do I
just
explain it?
listen to my argument. For you didn't even
I'm trying
listen.
to
You
make an
didn't even,
example. Hold on, I'm gonna make a different one.
well,
So
but
like
you don't know what you're
if
talking about.
no, I'm trying to prove that you can prove something with evidence, but you can't prove something that does not exist. You can't prove that God exists. Like you can't prove that. It's
Okay,
literally impossible to prove it.
but it's the necessary foundation in order to prove anything, and that's the proof.
No, that's not proof.
Why is that not proof?
Because you're saying God exists, right? But you have no way to prove that unless
Are you
there's
not
no
listening to me? I feel like you're not
that
listening.
you saying I was called God is the foundation of proof is not proof.
Yes, it is because
No, it's
if it's
not.
hold
Okay,
on,
prove that. First of
hold
all, you have to
on,
hold on,
Matt,
hold on.
dude,
You
you're
would have to
out of
prove that God
control.
exists to
You're
be the
out of
foundation of
control. Do
proof.
you not have a father in your life?
What the fuck? Why are you bringing up random shit, bro? Stick to what's
Because
being said.
you're out
I'm
of
not.
control. Like
I'm
you have
not
no
acting. I'm
discipline.
not acting
Discipline
random,
yourself.
bro.
Control
You're
yourself.
not. You're not making any sense.
Focus. Control yourself.
I am
Focus.
controlled. I'm controlled, bro.
If it's the case that God's necessary for proof, and you accept that we can prove things, then the fact that we prove things would indirectly prove God. So
Wait,
that's
wait,
the
wait,
argument.
wait. When did I say that God is the foundation of proof? I never say that. You said that, and I'm
I can
attacking that point.
demonstrate that. Yeah, I can
Okay, go.
demonstrate.
Okay, go. No, first of all, before you even demonstrate that, go ahead and prove God exists. That's the first step. Before you
That
can
is
even.
no.
That's the
You're
first step. That's
not.
literally the first step. Hold on, hold on. Do you think that
Stop.
if hold on. Do you think that you can
No.
prove something with no evidence? That's what you're basically arguing right now.
No, I'm not. I'm
That's what.
saying
Yes, it is. Yes,
you're not
that's literally
listening.
what you're arguing.
Focus.
You're trying to
That's
prove
not
that
what I
God
said. You're
exists
not
with
focusing.
absolutely no evidence.
You're out of control. You need a father. You're not focusing.
You can say that all you want. You're
Well,
still not
dude,
proving
you're
why
out of
God,
control. You're not listening. Just
bro,
relax.
bro,
Calm down.
bro.
Calm
So prove
down.
to me how
Not
God exists.
focus. How
Show
old
me
are you?
evidence. Show me. Did you see God?
How old
Show
are
me right
you?
now.
How old are you?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
So prove to me why God exists with
Go to
evidence.
hell. Yep. This was why we need young men need discipline. You got to be firm with these young males. They're out of control. Welcome, Nope, Nape,
Nate,
Nape.
I was just wondering, what do you mean by Christianity is objectively proven? Sorry, I just
I
woke up.
mean that Christianity is true. It's like a fact of the world. It's not an opinion.
Wait, sorry, rewind. You said it's
Christianity is a
true.
fact. Yeah, it's a
It's a
fact.
fact.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you substantiate that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that like I'd make a philosophical argument called the transcendental argument for God. And
Okay,
I
I'm
would
not
say,
familiar with it. Sorry. Could you
well, it's like
explain
modus
it?
ponens, like if P then Q, P therefore Q. So I could say like if knowledge, then the Christian God. We have knowledge, therefore God.
Okay, I'm
So
not really understanding.
there's a necessary relationship between God and knowledge. So in order for you to know anything, the Christian God must exist and facilitate your ability to know things. If you deny that, you'll be reduced to an absurdity, like you're denying knowledge itself.
Okay, so where in the Bible does it say that thought directly correlates to God, its existence?
Pretty sure that'd be in like First John. This is like all things come through God.
Okay, so would you say like from the perspective of like taking the Bible as, that quote as literal, that you would need to substantiate, or not, I don't want to say you need to. I think that's silly. Like that guy, the last guy being like, you need to substantiate, all these things. I don't really think that's necessary. What I would say is, in general, do you think it's important to substantiate as to why the Bible is like a good resource to pull from, as opposed to like something else like the Quran or, the Bhagavad Gita, any other sort of religious text? Why do you choose the Bible over those? Just a question.
Well, because when we look at the attribute set, like the things the Christian God reveals about Himself, if we look at the all those attributes, they're the perfect attribute set, which is the necessary precondition to even like make an argument. So none of the other gods have the attribute set required to make sense of anything. So those worldviews are self defeating. They don't they implode upon themselves. Because when you
Okay.
assume, yeah,
Could
when
you
you
pull
assume,
a direct attribute to like another god that would, suggest as to why they would be unsuitable to make that claim? And then could you contrast that with one from I mean, should I say
yeah, but
Jesus if I'm
now
saying a
you're
Christian
asking
god?
like philosophical questions. So I can explain this, but it's going to be
No,
like,
that's not philosophical.
yeah, it is because I can explain why this is the case, but it's going to get into like philosophy, like this problem of the one and the many.
No, no,
So
no.
like,
Okay, sorry. If your response that would come from me asking that would be a philosophical response, I don't have an issue with that. But the
you're
question
asking
itself
like a
isn't a
really
philosophical question.
well, you're asking a complicated question. There's a complicated
That's
answer.
fine. Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't,
But it's not a philosophical question. It would be a philosophical answer. It
It's a
doesn't
complicated.
matter. I just
You're
am not
asking a
asking a
complicated
philosophical.
question. So like to answer, I can answer that question because we have to get into the specific attributes of like why the Christian God's necessary. But then that gets complicated, right? A lot of people
Of
don't.
course, yeah. I have all the time for it to be complicated. I mean, it's a like for me, if
Yeah.
I'm faced with something as like what's the validity of a God, which is the real God? Is there a God? Like those are serious things. I don't think it's like something to be like really light about. So I don't mind a super philosophical or complex answer. That's basically my point. Why I was reiterating the question. But yeah, my question, if you don't remember, was could you contrast something that would come from another God with the Christian God that would make the other God, inapplicable to reality and the Christian God applicable?
Well, I mean, I have a puzzle box argument. It's like I try to like explain this to people who don't know philosophy. Is you have to look at
Yeah,
the
I mean,
universe.
I don't know any
So
philosophy.
if you look at the universe like a jigsaw puzzle, imagine you find a jigsaw puzzle on the ground. You notice two things about the jigsaw puzzle. One, all the pieces are different. That's a plurality. And
Yeah,
two, they fit together in one big picture. That's unity.
gotcha.
Now the question is, how can the puzzle have both? So if there's only unity, if there's only one big picture glued together, you can't see the pieces. And if there's only a plurality, scattered pieces with no picture, then you can't see the whole big picture.
Wait, I don't want to cut into what you're saying. I know I'm saying that as I'm sort of cutting into what you're saying. I just have a question to that is unity in this puzzle, right? I mean, for it to be for us to be able to make out the picture that this puzzle is of, I'm assuming it's a jigsaw. If you had a jigsaw puzzle of like Starry Night, like it's a painting, you could see the image it's representing. For it to be in unity would not mean that it would be unable to see individual pieces. It would just be, I mean, are you saying like specifically that it would have to be in like you're referring to like perfect symmetry, unity? It wouldn't have, different pieces, different shapes, but like, for the pieces to, be, I guess as you're saying in unity, or what I was interpreting as like equal or, correct in proportion, I don't think that it would mean that the pieces would be unable to be seen.
I have no idea what the hell you're just talking about. If all the pieces are glued together, then there's not distinct pieces. There's just one piece glued
If
together.
all the pieces are glued to, okay, if they're glued together,
Then
then
there's
yeah,
not.
they wouldn't be in different pieces. I agree with that point.
Yes.
I just don't
When
understand.
we. Uh huh.
I just don't understand what you mean by like you wouldn't be able to see the pieces. If they're glued together, they're still segmented
Because if
pieces. They
they're
don't
glued
become one
together,
solid
they're no
thing.
longer okay. If they're glued together, they're not pieces anymore, are they? It's just one big picture. There's no pieces anymore. It's all glued together.
Well, then you're contradicting yourself by saying you're
Okay,
gluing
thanks for
together the
coming.
pieces.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Oh my god. I can't even literally get by like the first premise. The guy's like lost. What? Huh? What? I don't know. Holy crap. He's like not even trying to understand what I'm saying. Fucking, they're just complete assholes. Horrible people.
You can fly with me.
Stop coming up here, dude. Um, Christianity is theorized. It's not. Christianity is not a hypothesis, my guy. Christianity is a revealed truth. It's the revealed word of God. Dude, Darth has so many books. It's mind-boggling. There's no way, like, no one could ever read that many books in their life. It's insane. I bet he's read, like, maybe a quarter of that. Like, there's no way. I've asked him, like, how many of these books have you read? He'll just say, like, oh, I just kind of peruse. What do you say? He told me he kind of just peruses them. So I'm working on is Eastern Orthodox Christian, because the Eastern Orthodox are bullying me. And we read the first part of the book. We learned that whereas like there was a more messianic Jewish type Christianity in the East, and then Orthodoxy was like more pagan, and then like the Jewish Christians were in a dispute with the Orthodox Christians because the Orthodox Christians changed the faith to be adapted to pagan ideas. So the first part of this book makes a case that Orthodoxy is strongly influenced by Plato, pagan philosophy, and pagan ideas. Here, what does it say? Christianity and Greek. So Christianity and Greek philosophies like Platonism and Stoicism were fundamentally different in their beliefs. However, many early Christians had been converted from paganism, and they didn't immediately let go of their old ways of thinking. So when they tried to explain and defend Christianity, they ended up mixing ideas from Greek philosophy. Over time, efforts to keep Christian faith pure from these outside influences weakened. Eastern Orthodox, especially in its early development, tried to attract pagans by shaping its worship and practices to be more appealing to them. For example, pagans liked having icons, religious images, and processions in their temples, so these were adopted in Christian worship. The pagans didn't like certain parts of Christian worship, like how it was practiced or preached. The leaders of the church would change it to make them more comfortable. The church also began to adjust its teachings to align with what pagans wanted to hear. They didn't focus on preaching what the Bible said, but instead shaped their message to be more in line with what the pagan community thought was acceptable. In places like Alexandria, an ancient center of learning, Christianity began to mix with Greek philosophy. Some Christian thinkers even tried to combine Platonic ideas with Christian teachings. This resulted in Christianity becoming less about the original Jewish Christian roots and more about a new Greek-influenced form of Christianity. So, Eastern Orthodoxy doesn't represent the original church established by the apostles, which was rooted in Jewish traditions and teachings. The early church rejected pagan ideas, but over time, as Eastern Orthodoxy evolved, it adopted practices like venerating saints, angels, and icons, things that weren't part of the original teachings. The writer quotes a warning from the Bible in 2 Timothy 4:3-4, which says that in the future, people will turn away from the truth and listen to teachings that suit their desires. The writer suggests that Eastern Orthodoxy fell into this trap by favoring Greek philosophers like Plato over teachings of Christ in the Bible. So by embracing pagan philosophy and changing the core message of Christianity, Eastern Orthodoxy strayed from the true teachings of the apostles. As a result, the writer views that the Orthodox Church is having lost its true Christian identity and becoming a false version of the original church. So, Eastern Orthodoxy over time adopted non-Christian ideas and practices, moving away from the pure teachings of the early Christian church, which were rooted in Jewish tradition. So then we have like some good questions we could ask Eastern Orthodox, like where do the beliefs come from? Some converts from Protestantism say that everything in Eastern Orthodoxy comes from the Bible. However, when asked for specific examples, like the practice of venerating icons, they reply these come from holy traditions or teachings of the early church leaders, the fathers. So what's a holy tradition? So then the author raises a series of questions about to challenge what holy tradition really means. For instance, is it defended simply by its age, tracing back to the apostles? Is it defined? Is it defined by the consensus of early church leaders or councils? What if different leaders or patriarchs disagree with each other? How can we decide which parts of these traditions are valid or true, especially if some early leaders were later considered wrong? So there's no clear objective standard for what counts as holy tradition. It makes it hard to say exactly where Eastern Orthodoxy's doctrines and rituals originally come from. So we're questioning the claim that all Orthodoxy's practices have a solid biblical or early church basis. They seem to come from a more complicated and sometimes inconsistent set of traditions that aren't clearly defined as one might hope. Yeah, I hear them make this claim that they're practicing Christianity exactly like the apostles did in like their first churches, but it's BS. So, and then it talks about this guy named Frank Schaeffer, but I don't know if he's a good source. He grew up evangelical, um, but he didn't like it, I guess, and then so he became Orthodox. He says there's a key difference between the East and West. The Western Protestant Catholic approach, people rely heavily on reason, science, logic, strict doctrine, rules, and teachings to understand truth. That includes analyzing faith and theology with a rational mindset. And Eastern Orthodox focuses on holy mystery, seeking divine revelation through prayer, worship, and spiritual experience. Instead of trying to logically figure out everything out, they emphasize on a mystical connection to God and gradual transformation of the soul. The Eastern Church emphasizes Plato and mysticism. Spiritual truths are not something you can fully grasp with reason alone. They focus on experiencing God through prayer, worship, and spiritual transformation, while the West, Aristotle, is more Aristotelian and rational. In contrast, Roman Catholics tends to focus more on reason, logic, and intellectual understanding, and they believe that human reasoning is essential for understanding God and the world. So this book says that in Orthodoxy, the ultimate goal is not just to know God, but actually become like God. What they call divinization or theosis. Through spiritual practices, you transform and become one with Christ. Not just about intellectual belief, but about changing your whole being, including your actions and character to reflect Christ's lives. I'm not really sure. That seems weird. I'm not sure about that. I think I need to. So, Orthodox view of salvation, they believe that church Their church is the true community that carries Christ's presence on earth. For them, salvation is found in the fullness of the Orthodox Church and sacraments. They believe only in the Orthodox Christian can you fully experience the path to salvation. So because of these different beliefs, Eastern Orthodoxy, Roman Catholicism, and Protestantism view life and the physical world very differently. Even if they use the same words, they mean different things. So we have totally different attitudes toward faith, salvation, and everyday life. So Catholics, Eastern Orthodox, and Protestants are three fundamentally different religions, not just different denominations. There is some common ground. Our foundational beliefs and approaches to faith are so different that they're essentially distinct. Eastern Orthodoxy focuses on a mystical, experiential journey of becoming like Christ. Roman Catholicism emphasizes reason and intellectual understanding, and Protestantism focuses on returning directly to the teachings of the Bible. Okay. Okay, so what the heck? Another Protestant convert, Bishop Timothy Ware, put it this way: Orthodoxy is not just a kind of Roman Catholicism without the Pope, but something quite distinct from any religious system in the West. The only thing that these three different religions have in common is that they use the same words, such as God, Christ, man, sin, salvation, Bible, etc. But they radically differ on the meanings of those words. The following is a list of some of the differences between evangelical Christianity and Eastern Orthodoxy. Different views of Greek philosophy, particularly Plato, the New Testament writers, the Apostolic Fathers, the Reformers rejected pagan philosophy, while Orthodoxy embraces it. Different epistemologies on how we know if something is true or false. Orthodoxy's negative natural theology versus the revealed theology of the Bible. Different hermeneutics and the way we should interpret the Bible. Orthodoxy is mystical and intuitive in its understanding of the Bible, while biblical Christianity follows the principles of historical, grammatical exegesis. Different views on the origin, nature, inspiration, canon, and authority of the Bible. The Orthodox do not have the same books in their Bible as found in the Catholic or Protestant Bibles. Different views on the origin, nature, and inspiration of the Greek Septuagint. The Orthodox claim that it is more inspired than the original Hebrew text. What? That's weird. Evolution. Different views on the authority of the church, its fathers, councils, creeds, and leaders. The Orthodox use circular reasoning. Something is true because the church says so. There is no higher authority than the church. This is true because the church says so. Different views on the nature, attributes, existence, and knowledge of God. Different views on the nature, attributes, person, and work of Jesus Christ. Different views of the nature, power, work, and veneration of angels, Mary, the apostles, the saints, and the fathers. Different views on the veneration of icons and relics. Different views on the nature of man, original sin, free will, and human potential. Different views on the nature of sin, what is needed to correct it. Different views of salvation, grace, works, faith, and the nature, number, and role of the sacraments. Different views of the heart of the gospel message. The Bible teaches that justification is the heart of the gospel, while Orthodoxy teaches deification. Different views on the nature of baptism and the Lord's Supper. The differences listed above cannot be dismissed as a mere tempest in a teacup. The differences between orthodoxy and evangelical theology are absolutely fundamental and cannot be ignored. We agree with orthodox thinkers such as Schaeffer, Ware, et al. That orthodoxy is a different religion. In this work, we have chosen to investigate orthodoxy's dependence on Greek philosophy, its icon, iconolatry, iconolatry, and the origin and nature of its doctrine and deification. The other issues must await later analysis. So this paper is about the Greek Orthodoxy's dependence on Greek philosophy, iconolatry, and the origin and nature of its doctrine of deification. Is it Augustine, I'm guessing? So. What do you mean? You want to debate? You can join. Varieties of orthodoxy. In addition to different denominations within orthodoxy, such as Coptic, Russian, Syrian, etc., there are different theological schools as well. Yeah, but I think I got more people before they realized I was good at debate.
Hello?
What's up, bro?
Hey,
Hey, how old are you?
18,
Really, when were you born?
2006.
Okay, what would you like to say?
Point number 4.
Oh, right. Yeah, so it's just you have an unborn, preborn baby, and you unalive the preborn baby and sacrifice for like a false idol.
You mean a false idol?
False idol could be whatever. It's just whatever has more value than something that apparently has more value than the life of a preborn baby.
That's not what a false idol is.
Yes, it is.
Can you give me a Google definition of what a false idol is? On Google.
Why does a Google definition matter? I use a Christian definition.
Oh, okay. Where does it give the Christian definition?
I don't know if there's is there a Christian dictionary? Maybe the Bible would have it. Why does the definition matter? You want to argue about definitions?
Yeah, whatever.
Bible dictionary.
No, I don't want the Bible definition because abortion has nothing to do with Jesus or God or whatever.
Sure it does.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
God
We
says
live in God's world.
Bible says nothing about abortion.
It says that humans are made in the image of God, and a preborn baby is made in the image of God.
It was written before abortion and before those circumstances. Back then, you just had to suck it up and deal with it, and that's not a thing anymore. And that's a good thing. You don't have to suck it up and deal with it. Anyway, can you give me a definition from Google what a sacrifice and what a false idol is?
Why does it matter?
Because you can't just be throwing around words that you don't know what they mean.
Why not?
Are you stupid?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't see what does the definition matter? Like,
is it okay? Oh my god. Give me, okay, actually, hold on, give me a second. I'm getting a definition up.
but I don't see why does that matter.
Of course you don't. You swear you're bad at debating.
Yeah, but like words, I mean, they have more than one meaning.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, they do.
Not false idol, not that phrase. Especially not the meaning you're giving it.
It's consistent with the Christian view that like mammon.
Shush. A false idol is when something, an object achieves false idol status when the significance of the object becomes detached from its original. Hold on a minute. From its original meaning, and the object itself attains separate status from, and even greater than, the value it represents. That has nothing to do with God or worship.
I don't know why definitions like what this is so fucking irrelevant for a debate. Like,
you have to use definitions
when you're people do this definition because you guys want to play like these little analytical games. You want to like pigeonhole someone in a definition and then like show a contradiction with the definition. Like definitions don't make shit true. So like what this is debates about like what's true.
If I was like, yeah, now I'm gonna give chair a new meaning. Chair now means bed. That wouldn't work, would it?
So here we go. In Christianity, a false idol is anything, whether an object. Stop. Okay, well then goodbye.
Okay, bud. Yeah, kick me.
Okay. So in Christianity, a false idol is anything, whether an object, person, or idea that is worshipped or valued above or instead of the one true God. God alone deserves our worship and ultimate loyalty. When people direct their love, trust, or devotion toward anything other than God, that thing becomes a false idol. This can include statues, money, power, or even certain ideologies. Like, you know, it's an ideology. My body, my choice. That's an ideology. So that's a false idol. Duh. So you're sacrificing your child to a false idol. It's not that complicated.
I'm sorry, how does that false ideology?
I didn't say it's a false ideology. I said it's an ideology. I said it's a false idol.
Okay. You just said pro-choice was a false ideology. That's why I'm a little bit confused.
I said it's a false idol. It's something that's more important than the Christian God. You make your ability to choose whether you carry a baby or not. That's more important than God, who values the life of the preborn baby.
Yeah, it is more important. Because not everybody believes in religion.
So that's a false idol.
No, it's not. Is it, or is it not subjective? Is religion not subjective?
No, it's objective.
It is subjective, right?
No. It's proven. We now know.
I'm sorry, how is it proven? Actual science, I mean? I'll take anything.
Science proves that Christianity is true because science is only possible in the world created by God, endowed with order, and which is necessary for science to be possible.
I'm sorry, but that's not true.
Oh, really? So
Can you give me the definition of science? Yes, and I'll explain it to you.
and again with these definitions, why do people always
Because I
bring
want to understand that you know what science actually is, and that it's proven
Science is the
based
study-
off of multiple hypotheses and experiments, various experiments.
Science is a study of the natural world.
Yeah. Okay, so you understand that.
To study the natural world, there has to be a connection with our mind and the objects of knowledge in the natural world. So that would presuppose a unifying principle, and that would be God.
I still don't see your point here, sir.
To study the natural world, your mind has to be able to know the natural world. You have to have access to know it.
But how do you know 100% sure that that's how it is?
Because it's just what?
It just is? Is that what you're saying to me?
You think you can study? How could you study something if you don't have access to know it? You have to have your mind. It has to be in contact with the objects of knowledge.
So what you're saying is you just have to be conscious to be knowledgeable.
No, I'm saying God has to put you in contact with the objects of knowledge for you to study the natural world. Then you can do science.
No, that's not true. Because a lot of scientists do not believe in religion. And, well, there's a lot that also believe in as well. Like Newton, who created gravity. Well, didn't create it, but he defined it.
But it doesn't matter what you believe, right? Because you could not believe in gravity. It doesn't mean you can jump to the moon because gravity affects you.
No, because gravity is a real scientific thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like
it's based off of experiments, various experiments.
And God is proven and more real than gravity.
Through what? Through what? What experiment?
The argument that I'm giving you right now.
Which is what?
For you
Which is what?
You're dependent upon the Christian God to speak in any action in any type of reason.
No, you're not, because you have free will. So you're not dependent on them.
Okay. Well, then what would be your single concrete unifying principle that dictates what is, what can, and cannot be in order that you can talk about what's possible and impossible?
Based off of various experiments. And
no, that's wrong. That's wrong. No, that's wrong. That's a lie.
How can you prove that your religion is real if you don't have scientific proof?
Why don't you admit you don't know what the fuck you're talking about instead of pretending like you do?
Bro, you have no clue what you're talking about.
Yes,
you really don't, because you've dodged like every single question.
Okay. Well, thanks.
So can you tell me where there's scientific evidence that states that God or Jesus is real? Or whatever religion you believe.
Science requires the uniformity of nature, and you don't have uniformity of nature without the Christian God. So
how? That's where I'm asking, where does that come from? Where does that ideology come from?
What ideology? What are you're nonsense. Why do you stop being nonsense?
Your ideology is your belief.
Focus.
You focus.
No.
You can't even make a coherent sentence, sir.
Focus. Behave yourself. Okay.
You behave yourself, sir. You can't even make a comprehensive sentence.
Okay. Welcome, Paul. Hello.
Why do you believe in a mythology full of magic?
I don't. What are you talking about?
Yes, you do. It's magic and it's a mythology. You don't. No. You don't get to say you don't. You do.
Prove it.
Okay. Is there magic in the Bible?
No.
Okay. So the fire tornadoes that only happen in the Bible have never once happened in real life. That was what then?
Okay. If the Bible's not true, like what authority would you use to say the Bible?
So you believe in magic. Don't run away from the point. You believe in magic.
What? No, I don't. I believe in miracles.
Magic. It's just another word for magic.
Guess who first taught people that magic wasn't real? It was the Christians.
Yeah, because they said this is our special magic. They did special pleading magic.
People used to look at like thunder and they go, or lightning, and they go, oh, that's God, and the cloud throwing the lightning down, right?
Right. So people long ago believed that, just like people long ago believed in a God. Why are you still believing magic in mythologies?
Guess who first told people that there was no God?
I don't care.
Okay.
Why do you believe in magic in a 2,000-year-old mythology?
Yes. Well, mommy and daddy failed, I guess. Welcome, punishing atheism.
Good grief, Mars! You got some imbeciles today.
Yes, we do.
I mean, first the girl, she's over here like science just proves God, justify God with science, and you're over here trying to take her to the uniformity and regularity of nature that can only be grounded if the biblical worldview is true, and she's over here just bickering. It's flying right over her head, and then you got this guy. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I
Yeah,
just
they're not
got
even
done going live
trying.
for like 3 hours.
They're not even trying to understand you. I saw you live. I gave you some likes and stuff.
Oh, shit, I didn't even notice. He must have came in and swung
Yeah,
by for a little bit.
yeah. I try to drop in and like throw some likes at people just to support them a little bit. I might not. I don't always say anything in the chat, but I
So
try
the
to.
so Christianity is objectively proven by the impossibility of the contrary is what's flying over their head because they don't understand that if the worldview was true, what would follow from their worldview is that rationality would not be possible, nor the uniformity of nature or any of these things. Objective morality would not be grounded. So any of their claims that they make against God is not grounded foundationally in nothing to even get the argument off the ground, and that's what's going over their head. But that's
Yeah,
for all the listeners just to hear because we got a lot of imbeciles today.
they don't want to listen. They're just like waiting for me to stop talking so they can like preach whatever nonsense they're gonna say. That's all they're doing. So
Yeah, they want to come up and just be argumentative and just bicker, and it's never fruitful.
yeah, they don't have substance. They don't have a counter argument. They just their opinion every time. So yeah. We gotta
Yeah,
give someone else a chance to come up here, man.
shoot, go ahead.
All right.
But it was good talking to you again.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, keep those streams going, man. All these deconstruction people lying about the Bible and slandering.
How you doing?
Yo, what'd you like to say, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Sorry. Okay, I had an issue here. So I agree with the last caller or whatever. A lot of idiots. It's amazing to me the level of idiocy. So tired of people saying that the Bible is a myth. According to who? According to your idiot idea? To these people, they have no proof whatsoever. All they do is spout out nonsense with no foundation and no proof. And one more thing about science, the sacred cow. Science. Science, for everybody here listening.
How is that not like a creation myth, right? Don't they have mythology? They want to talk about mythology. Well, like Big Bang and evolution, that's a creation mythology, isn't it? It's just because it has scientific frame spin on it,
Yes, everything is a myth and a myth and a myth, but there's no proof that it's a science. Earth, soul, science can say nothing.
You're breaking up really bad. If you can, you're breaking up really bad, dude. So I couldn't understand you. So you can come back. You can call back in some other time if you can fix that. So we're talking about varieties of orthodoxy. In addition to different denominations in Orthodoxy, Coptic, Russian, Syrian, there are different theological schools as well. Hey, Darth, I'm just doing this. I'm reading this. We had some real geniuses so far. So liberal orthodoxy. Liberal orthodoxy believes that Eastern Orthodoxy is a living organism that has a dynamic relationship with Scripture, traditions, the fathers, theologians, and philosophers. It is like a tapestry with many different colors woven into its pattern. It is composed of many different ideas drawn from many different sources. It has changed, evolved, and adapted in each new generation according to the needs and desires of the people. It is not enslaved or bound by scripture, traditions, the fathers' theology or philosophy. Liberals believe that no orthodox doctrine or ritual is set in stone. They often define iconoclasm as merely symbolic in nature and as merely visual aids for worship. The deification of man consists of his being recreated in the image of God in the sense that man acquires the moral attributes of God, such as goodness and holiness. They view the scriptures as a curious mixture of errors, contradictions, myths, and legends of ancient times. They are at the forefront of the ecumenical movement in Orthodoxy. They are often involved in joint worship, prayer meetings with Catholics, Protestants, Jews, Hindus, and even Muslims. Then we have conservative orthodoxy. Conservative orthodoxy theologians have a very rigid view of Eastern Orthodoxy. They are absolutely dogmatic that there are crucial Orthodox rituals and doctrines that cannot be sacrificed on the altar of modernism or ecumenism. I'm pronouncing that word. I should look up this word. Christian movement that encourages cooperation and unity among different denominations. How do you pronounce it?
Ecumenism.
Ecumenism. Certain beliefs and practices must remain the same throughout the centuries. They cannot be denied without denying the very essence of and soul of orthodoxy.
Yeah, you were close. Ecumenicalism.
Ecumenism.
Ecumenicalism.
Well, no, that's not what it says here. This is ecumenism.
Well, maybe it's a different.
Yeah.
Hello?
It says, are you an adult?
Yes, I am. I'm 25.
Okay. Yeah, this word Darth is
What'd you say?
humanism. Christians who belong to different denominations should work together. That's what it means.
That's ecumenicalism.
It's from
ecumenical.
It's from the word
ecumenical is when there is interdenominational cooperation.
Yeah, ecumenism is the noun for ecumenical.
Oh, okay. I wasn't familiar with that.
Ecumenical is the adjective. So ecumenism is the noun for the adjective. Ecumenical is the adjective. I don't know, it's just technicality. Anyways, sorry.
Hey, so I think Christianity is objectively proven. Although I believe in Christianity, I don't think it's irrational for someone to not believe in God or to become an atheist. I don't think it's irrational. I think very logical people gravitate towards atheism, and that's why they don't typically go into Christianity, because Christianity fundamentally requires like belief in things that kind of lie outside the boundaries of logic. So
No,
go ahead, you were saying something.
I don't think that's the case. I think that Christianity provides the framework for there to be logic, and that without Christianity, how would the atheists couldn't even explain like if logic existed, was real, where it is, how they can use it. They have no idea what logic is. So,
right, and we can't in contrarize, it's kind of difficult to explain God with like logic and the boundaries of like Earth and stuff like that. You have to step outside logic.
But God defines the boundaries. So the atheist model, there's no boundaries to anything goes.
Okay, maybe I should give like an example. So why Because one of the arguments that they like to use the most is that why can't I see God or why can't I hear God myself? And you can hear him. You have to have the faith to believe that he's going to respond to you. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of people that I've talked to that themselves personally, like they'll pray and they'll wait for God, or at least they say, to show up and stuff like that, and then nothing happens, and then I'll pray, God, just show up and speak to them and stuff like that, and nothing like ever happens. Now, to a logical person, that would mean that it doesn't exist. But I myself know it exists because I saw it myself.
But that's not the Christian view. The view is that God will listen to our prayer, but he doesn't necessarily answer our prayer.
Okay. You said atheism is
kind of different.
You said atheism is rational, right? Is that correct?
Right. I think that. Yeah, I think that. No, not actually.
Yeah, you can't walk away from your microphone when you're talking.
I have my headphones in. Does it just pick up on my phone?
Well, it sounded like it sounds like you were moving away from your microphone. Okay. Very simple question. Are you asserting that atheism is rational?
Yeah, I think in some constructs it is.
Okay, what's the rational basis to make the unqualified universal declaration negation that God doesn't exist?
So in order to believe in God and to understand God,
you got to stop with the noise because it's interfering with me understanding you.
What noise are you talking about?
Either you're making noise or P. Mars is making noise.
No, there's some background noise. I don't know who's ended on. It's not me. I was muted.
Are you mixing something?
Oh, yeah,
Hotter?
That was me. Yeah, that is me.
Yeah, well, it's being picked up by the microphone. It's interfering with me understanding you. Okay. What's the rational basis to ground and assert that there is no creator?
Right, so in order to believe that God exists, you have to step outside the boundaries and see through
That's not answering my question. That's not answering my question. No, listen, no, it's not. I'm an experienced debater on the issue.
Are you a Christian?
I'm quite, yeah, I am. Yes, I am.
You're terrible at it. I'm going to tell you right now, you're terrible.
All right. Listen, Sunshine, I don't put up with this nonsense, okay? I want to have an mature conversation with you. If you're going to be, I'm about to kick you. Okay?
Yes, because you're
not
a Christian.
If you're going to act like, if you're going to act like a,
goodbye.
Okay,
Goodbye.
Bye, 14-year-old girl. Goodbye. I'm a grown woman, but I act like a 14-year-old girl. See, diversion. Okay, deflection, diversion, and then verbal disruption. The 3D strategy. See that right there? Diversion, deflection. Yeah. Diversion, deflection. Okay, so notice I asked her a very simple and clear, cogent question. Then she does deflection, pretending she's answering the question, but she wasn't. So when I interrupted, I said, "You're not addressing the question." You see, when you start to respond to a semi-related issue, that's not answering the question. See, these people don't like being called out for their diversionary and deflection answers. Okay? She wasn't answering the question, how did you determine there is no God? What's the rational basis for it? Do you know what they're doing is they conflate the denial of the existence of God, a proposition, with the concept that one has a mental state absent a reason to believe in God. They have a complete inability because of their confirmation bias to understand that they're conflating two different things. Okay? Having an absence of belief in God, right? Or you feel that you have an inadequate basis or justification in order to affirm God is not the same thing as the proposition, one, there is no God. Okay?
Well, they treat God as if he's just like any other fact, and he's not a special fact.
They're treating God as a mere conceptual range. They're treating it as a mere mental state. Okay? So this happens all the time. Atheism is propositional in nature, external, to one's mental state, right? There is no God, right? But when you ask them to justify it, they start defending that one is justified in having an absence of a positive belief in God due to some type of insufficiency of information. You're not. These are two different things.
If atheism is just a mental state, then debating atheism would be debating like Superman can win a race versus the Flash.
Yeah. You see, they want to sit there and they want to self-identify as an atheist, right? But immediately they go into lacktheism mode. Oh, I'm justified in my atheism because I have insufficient reasons to have a positive acceptance that God exists. I mean, this is how lame these people are.
That just made me think of an analogy. So, like, in some comic books, there's been a lot of instances where the Flash and Superman race in comic books. And in some comic books, the Flash wins the race, and then in other comic books, Superman wins the race. So the writer of the story dictates the state of affairs as to who's faster, the Superman or the Flash. That could be like a good analogy for like how you couldn't have two ultimates, or the writer of the comic book is sort of like God, right?
Well, I stay away from comic book analogies.
I think it'd be good for because they have a very childish mindset. So
This happens all too frequently. You ask them to justify an ontological position, justify that the world exists entirely with independence from God, but then they just launch in that they're justifying in not having a positive acceptance that there's God. We're talking about two different things. Look, if they actually had cogent grounds that there is no God, they would give it instead of these lame adolescent responses. And then when you confront them about this, they get pissed because they know what they're doing and they're shameless about it. You know, when I say, please explain to me why there's no God, please don't go off and telling me why you have insufficient reasons to affirm God. It's not the same thing.
Oh, so Taco hosted a debate between Jim Bob and Planet Peterson.
Say that again?
Taco on the politics hosted a debate today between Jim Bob and Planet Peterson on evolution.
Oh, that ought to be good.
So, in the question answer part, JL Warren joins, and he's just he's not really asking a question. He's just trying to educate it. You know how he thinks he's like
JL Warren is he's an idiot.
You know how he does is like all he does is lecture.
He's a complete fool.
Yeah, so he's doing his thing, and I got on right after JL Warren, and I go, Jim Bob, I have a question. Without evolution, how do you explain the fact that JL Warren looks like a beaver?
Oh, you are.
Have you ever seen his face? The guy totally looks like a beaver, but you have to see his face to get the joke.
Yeah,
I guess.
I know he's a clown.
So, and then Planet Peterson's like, "Oh, whatever, P. Mars, you have acne like a 14-year-old girl." It was pretty funny.
Oh boy.
I got Jim Bob to laugh, so mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Because Jim Bob calls him Beaver Boy on his stream.
Well, Planet Peterson is one of the most arrogant and immature 30-something-year-old skeptics I've come across. His level of maturity, And look, he's literally afraid to have an adult interaction with me. Right? That's why in the 3 encounters that we have, he behaved like a maniac.
Yeah, I thought Jim Bob could definitely read some of your books on evolution because I was not too impressed by his argument.
Well, people are not. They need to become educated.
He just wanted to quibble about the scientific method, but
the fossil record doesn't support gradualism. The DNA code, first of all, from a statistical point of view, there's not enough time for mutations to build the genome of the animal kingdom. Similarities in genetic sequences are not logically discriminatory for common ancestry, but can also be understood to be features of common design.
He tries to make this argument that he wants to demarcate what is science and what's not science, and he demarcates it by it has to follow the scientific method. And then he'll argue that we don't observe these transitions or whatever, therefore.
Well, evolution is not. When we talk about evolution defined as a universal common ancestry, it is not observable, repeatable, and testable. But what happens is people end up equivocating on the word evolution, simply meaning to be biological variation in reproduction, and that in our present day we can observe certain biological changes, including in Mendelian genetics and population genetics. But that is not the same thing as a universal common ancestry, and where random mutations aided by selection processes build the entire genome of the animal kingdom, where you have a net increase of raw genetic information that didn't pre-exist. So evolution over the span of so-called eons of time is not observable.
Well, I would have argued it, or I think a better way, instead of arguing about demarcation, I would have put it that how there's this interpretive scheme of uniformitarianism, how you put it that one day. I would argue.
Well, the reason why Jim's approaching it this way is because he's not well studied enough.
Yeah.
How do I define evolution? I don't define evolution. There's a variety of definitions, but when we're talking about evolution with a capital E, we're talking about a universal common ancestry.
That's where the argument needs to go, is to the interpretive scheme, I think, because that's
this is what they're guilty of. They're constantly equivocating between biological variation and reproduction versus that resulting in a universal common ancestry. These are not the same things.
Welcome, Hoobsh. What would you like to say?
I don't quite understand 3 through 5.
Yeah, the word slavery in the 20th century English translations is not really a correct way of rendering it, given what happened in the under antebellum slavery. The word translated
what is slavery
slave,
then?
I'm answering you. Okay, you want to let me finish?
What is slavery then?
I'm answering you. Okay.
Then describe it.
Goodbye, asshat. Okay.
Everyone who's come up here today,
when people are just gratuitously rude like that, they're not gonna their disposition isn't gonna get any better.
That's what everyone today just wants to quibble about definitions.
See, this is how lame people are. The word translated slave means servant. It has to be contextually understood and interpreted. Okay? So slave just simply in the Old Testament means somebody who is a servant. Now, in most instances, it's referring to people who are either in voluntary servitude or some type of contractual servitude. In rare instances, it's referring to forced confinement and forced servitude. Okay, just invoking the word doesn't cut the mustard. These people are idiots.
It's a word concept fallacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their complete failure to investigate the underlying Hebrew.
Yeah, welcome, Mary. What would you like to say?
Yeah, so I'm an evidentialist. I believe in natural theology and stuff like that. I just wanted to know if that could be reconciled.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. Can God be known if God purposes not to be known?
Yeah, I believe he can be known without his purpose being known.
No, that's completely false. If God decides to conceal himself, so God will make a mistake in not concealing himself?
Well, in that regards, if he decides to conceal himself, then no. Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't be
Okay,
known.
all right. So if God purposes not to reveal himself, then it logically and necessarily follows that God cannot be known.
Well, this presupposes that's his purpose.
Sir, listen to me. On this stream, you're required to exercise rubbing together a few more brain cells than the normal streams on TikTok. Okay?
Okay.
Now, if God purposes, were God to purpose not to be known, he could not be known. Are we clear? It's not a complicated concept.
Well, yeah, that was if that was his purpose. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, now, when you are defending God's existence, whatever line of reasoning or evidentiary facts that you're going to present, if they are not invoked and presented revelationally, okay, then whatever line of evidence or reasoning you present cannot demonstrate God's existence.
Yeah, that's under the world where God's purpose isn't that he's known, right?
No, yeah, dude. This is I'm dumbing this down for you, okay? If I say XYZ indicates God, XYZ can only indicate God if and only if God purposes it to be revelatory, emblematic, and indicative of himself.
Yeah, okay.
Now, in evidentialism, they're not cashing out the presentation of evidence as being revelatory. They're just presenting it as a probabilistic consideration. They have a fatal flaw. They're presenting information. Look, for example, as a creationist, I believe that the world exemplifies design, okay?
Yeah.
But if you're not presenting the design aspects as being purposefully revelatory of and by God, then what you're presenting, as persuasive as it may be to some people, it will not demonstrate God's existence because you're just making an inference to the best explanation.
Yeah.
Okay? An inference to the best explanation does not logically necessitate that the conclusion follows from the reasoning. So, biblical presuppositionalism is not opposed to the discussion and unpacking and conveying of evidences, but these evidences must be recapitulated in a way that it's clear to the listener that this is revelational of God and by God. So, for example, if I say to you that everything in the world, from the fine tuning of the cosmological constants to the DNA code being virtually statistically impossible to happen by chance,
Yeah.
as well as my own self-consciousness or a blade of grass moving in the wind, whatever facts you're talking about, if I say the world from the smallest scale to the grandest scale exemplifies ultimate design and intentionality, but it could only exemplify ultimate design and intentionality is if God purposed that they exemplify design.
Okay.
So evidentialists are making a fatal flaw. Okay, so there's only two realms within which we will exist. Either we will be in a revelatory environment in this world from and by God, or we're not in a revelatory environment. So when people invoke certain facts that are indicative of God only on the grounds of probabilism or statistics, but they're not representative as being revelational of God, then no such facts can logically determine that God exists.
Okay.
That's why when you use a evidential approach with certain people, they will just engage in intellectual gymnastics and special pleading. So when you appeal to the fine tuning of the cosmological constants to permit life, the unbeliever who does not want to recognize the revelation of God in creation will just special plead and say, well, a multiverse did it.
Yeah. Okay. I understand that.
Yeah, so what you need to read is the book Van Til and the Use of Evidence.
All
Van
right.
Til and the Use of Evidence. Just Google it, you'll find it.
Van Til and the use of evidence. All right.
Yeah, it's a short little book. Okay.
All right. So you
Now,
think
I'm not against people who tend to be experts in promoting intelligent design, but their approach is flawed, even though they're giving a lot of good information. Okay.
okay? I understand that.
So, for example, when we appeal to our self consciousness just can't be appealed to as an inference to the best explanation. It's that it's indicative of God by God's purpose, and it's the only rational explanation. Right.
Mm.
So what we're doing is we're driving a wedge here between a stark dichotomy. Okay.
Okay.
Black and white, up and down. This is okay. So, and we have to show people the consequences of rejecting that any aspect, small or combined, of the world, that is, when it's rejected that it's revelatory of God, then there is no ultimate identifiable outer frame of reference or context as to what anything is. Human beings surmising what things are by just an imagination of context doesn't cut the mustard.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
All
so
right.
that's not to discourage you from reading books dealing with intelligent design or evidentialism, but just remember that you can do that. For example, there are some people that are not hardened unbelievers, and you can go down all of the different aspects that are indicative of design. Okay,
Yeah.
and you can persuade them, but the point is you have to make it clear to them that this is not an abductive presentation. It's not an inference to the best explanation, or that God is the best explanation among others. In the Christian worldview, the world exemplifying design is the only rational position.
Okay.
And if somebody says no, there are other rational positions, you're like, good. Let me hear it.
Yeah. Most definitely. I understand that.
Yeah.
I guess my last question would be like, would tag be a deductive argument or?
No, tag is a mixture of both inductive and deductive, because what we're dealing with here is not a mere dispute over a collection of facts and what their conclusion is. We're dealing with a clash of models of worldview.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're having a conflict between two worldviews. Okay.
Yeah.
So what tag is showing is that it's presenting a worldview, and that world is exclusive and indispensable. And if you deny it, your position is instantly reduced to absurdity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I understand.
Okay, so it's a transcendental argument takes a fact that is in disputation, right, or in
Yeah.
dispute, and what we'll say is, you find a fact that you both agree upon, and then you show that the fact that is both agreed upon, a necessary precondition for the fact that is agreed upon, would be, let's say, in order for X to be the case, Y would have to be the case. If we both agree that X exists, you then show in a transcendental argument that Y will be a necessary precondition of X, and without Y, X could not be the case. And then you show that the denial of Y being a precondition for X leads to contradiction or absurdity.
Okay. Can I add something?
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Just mute your mic. Yeah.
The power of a transcendental argument, it's an anti-skeptical argument. The idea behind transcendental arguments was to defeat skepticism. And since when we're dealing with agnostics or atheists, we're dealing with skeptics.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah.
Their main strategy in the debate is just going to be skeptical, and since a transcendental argument is anti-skeptical, it drives them nuts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they're in skepticism. They're not making a counter world. They're not making an explicit counter worldview claim, although implicitly they're making a counter world claim, a worldview claim, but they can't justify it.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a difference between an explicit presentation of a worldview counterclaim versus an implicit. So the skeptical position, and by the way, P. Mars, that was superb what you just said. That was excellent. So what TAG does is it shows that the very denial of the transcendental argument for God, and by the way, there's not just one formalization.
Okay. Yeah.
There are different representations of the transcendental argument.
Okay. That's understandable.
Okay. It can be formulated in different ways.
Most definitely. Well, I appreciate that. That was a lot of good info. I really appreciate it.
Get a copy of the book. Get a copy of the book, Every Believer Competent.
Every Believer Competent?
Yeah, Every Believer Competent. That's a really, really good, thorough introductory book that will be, I guarantee you'll enjoy it.
Do you know if the book is a PDF on the Google or no? Do I have to buy it?
I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna try.
If you follow me, just follow me and just send me a DM and I'll see what we can do for you. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Don.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing me up pre-sub.
Yep.
You have a good one.
were you hawking the objective proof?
Well, Jugga. God can only be known if God engages in revelation of Himself. Okay. So if you want to deny, so is it your position that God couldn't be known, even when God gives revelation of Himself? This is how stupid you people are. You're not well educated on the subject. You think because you have a snarky attitude, that a snarky attitude makes for a good opposing critique or rebuttal. It doesn't.
Did you recommend the objective proof, the Joshua Pillows book, to him?
Yeah, I think, but that's a little bit more difficult reading than Every Believer Competent. Every Believer Competent, it's an easier introduction.
Okay.
But you could start off with Every Believer Competent and then the objective proof for Christianity. But the objective proof for Christianity is a slightly higher level reading material. Not that he couldn't comprehend it, but it's easier to start with Every Believer Competent.
I was going to say that I saw Elia. I don't know if I pronounced it. He put out his YouTube is Revealed Apologetics, and he recently put out a video with Josh Pillows like a week ago. So.
Okay, yeah, I'm good. Was that where they were answering questions?
Yeah, he's put out. They were answering questions about.
Yeah, I have that on my list to watch.
He's put out a lot of videos that are like I'm really interested, but got so much to do.
Did you by chance double click on those zip files to see if it recombined?
I haven't done that yet. I'll do that later.
Okay, yeah.
I'll let you know tomorrow.
Just let me know if they recombine.
Yeah, I'll let you know tomorrow. I'll do it by
But you have to click on the right file. Okay,
right.
There's 3 files, and that will be the first file, not the second or third.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. It may or may not work. According to what it said it should work cross-platform, but you never know.
We'll do a test to see if it works. I have an older computer, so
it should matter because there should be code in there for the zip to recombine.
It's like some Mission Impossible stuff.
Dun, 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 dun. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. I love that TV show. Oh my gosh, I just fond memories of watching.
The zip file will self-destruct in 60 seconds.
Say that again?
The zip file will self-destruct in 60 seconds.
Oh yeah. Do you know what a zip file is?
A zip file?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just joking, right? Like, because what did he get? They got like these little tapes that would self-destruct in the show, right?
Yeah.
Was it like a cassette tape or something? Or no, it'd be like a.
Well, they would usually well, you have to remember the Mission Impossible started in the like the late '60s, and so what they would have a reel-to-reel tape usually, and then maybe when it went into the '70s, they started using a cassette tape. But originally, when it started off, they used a reel-to-reel tape.
Was it called 8-track?
No, that was a different thing. A reel-to-reel is just that you just have a.
Okay.
It's like the reels that they would put movies on.
Yeah.
8-track is different. 8-track is the cassettes are small and very portable and compact. 8-track is very thick and much longer, and it would have multiple tracks. On a cassette, there would only be 2 tracks. Okay, one there would be like a higher and a lower track. And the way to play the alternate track is you'd have to flip the cassette over, and it would play it. But the 8-track required a specific 8-track player. But 8-track quickly went away.
Yeah.
Due to the versatility of cassette tapes. I mean, 8-track was popular for a while.
My dad had a few of those.
Yeah, it was pretty good for a time, but soon as the cassettes came out, that was the death knell for 8-track. I remember when I worked for one of my my employers years ago. I won't say what field it was, but he was wealthy, and he came in and he showed me his newest technology. It was a portable camcorder with a recording deck that he wore around on a strap on his shoulder. And it's just funny because now you can now film in 4K on your phone. It's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, you can actually film movies on your phone now. That's how good it is.
Welcome, Josephine.
Hi.
What would you like to say?
So why do you think Christianity is objectively proven?
Because the attribute set that the God of the Bible reveals to himself, codified in the Bible, shows that his attribute set is exclusive and indispensable for truth, reason, and intelligibility. And any attempt to deny what God has revealed about his attribute set will result in absurdity. In other words, you won't have an identifiable and defensible model of reality to even defend that 1 + 1 = 2.
Well, but this is what the Bible says, but that's not like objectively.
Yeah, I didn't understand you because of your microphone quality.
Oh. So that's just what the Bible says.
Is oxygen and water exclusive and indispensable for remaining alive?
Yes.
Okay. So the attribute set of God being perfect, God's attributes are perfect. Okay. So they're the single causal first principle for actualizing all that is and cannot be, including truth, reason, and intelligibility. If you deny that the attribute set that God has revealed and codified in the Bible is true and real, then you're going to have to explain what the ground of all being is that's going to provide for what is and cannot be, including your ability to access truth, reason, and intelligibility. What would that be? What's the something else that's not God that dictates all that is and cannot be?
I think that we don't know.
Okay, no, but here's the problem. So what you're saying is God is not necessary because of I don't know. Okay, when you deny God, you're is not necessary, right? So when you say God is not necessary because I don't know, that's an irrational statement. It's literally irrational to say that.
Think. I mean, I
If
don't
I
think
tell
he
you you're
exists.
wrong, hold
So
on a second. If I told you you're wrong in everything you say, and you say, how so? And I say, you're wrong in everything you say because I don't know. Would you deem that that's irrational?
I guess. But
Right.
what I'm
So when
saying
you
is,
when
it's like
you
not a
say
proof
God,
that he's existing.
you're not listening. It's a transcendental proof, and it's a transcendental proof that it's impossible to rationally deny. So your only recourse is to irrationally deny it. So what, for example, you just agreed with me that if I tell you you're wrong about anything, and you say, how am I wrong about XYZ? I said, you're wrong because of XYZ because I don't know. That's the same thinking you're having toward God. God is not real. God is not necessary because I don't know. Okay? That's irrational.
Well, I think there's because we don't know if like a God exists or not,
You're not understanding. Okay,
and
what you're doing
I don't
is you're
think
shape
that's
shifting.
comparable what you just said.
You're shape
Because
shifting from
I
classical
mean,
atheism. Look, do
how
you know what
like
you're
you don't
doing? Okay, you
just
hear this, P
thinking.
Mars? They're so oblivious to what they're doing. What you're doing is you're shifting from outright denying God and giving a defense of the denial of God to you are merely in a mental state where you're unconvinced about God's existence. Okay, that's not merely what your position is. Your position is there is no God. If you refuse to acknowledge God's existence, then that is a de facto denial of God's existence, whether you admit it or not, whether you realize it or not.
I
Okay?
mean,
The
I
refuse.
don't think so because I don't know if like
Okay,
if there's such a
all right. You're not. You know what? This is going over your head. I just dumbed it down for you. The very refusal to acknowledge that God is the single causal ground of all being, the refusal to acknowledge that constitutes the denial of it. Are we clear?
yes.
Okay, now if you're going to deny a proposition, you need to invoke and defend a proposition that functions as the negation or the negator of the proposition that you're denying. Okay, if you're going to falsify A, you have to present not A. Okay?
Okay.
Now, so if you say A is false, and I say, how is A false? And you say, because not A is true. Okay, so you're presenting a negation, a negator for A. If you're going to assert that God does not exist directly or indirectly, you need to present a negator or a proposition that functions as the negation of God. But you don't have one because you said, I don't know.
I mean, we could say, there's like other theories, like the Big Bang theory or something.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to beat up on you anymore. You're just clueless. Okay, appealing to the Big Bang doesn't get you. It's not a negation for God. There are theologians who accept the Big Bang and even use the Big Bang in an argument for the existence of God. I don't. I don't agree with that. But appealing to the Big Bang doesn't get you to there's no God. Okay, I'm just trying to show you that the denial of God is irrational. It's not rational. You could have a
Yeah.
high IQ. You could have a PhD or two. It doesn't matter what your intellect or IQ is. The denial of God is still going to be irrational.
I mean, I don't know if I would agree with this one. I mean,
I just explained to you why your position is rational. You just
Yeah,
told me.
I
You just
see.
told me. Hold. Listen. Why don't you listen for a second? You just told me if I tell you you're wrong about something, and you say to me, "How am I wrong about that?" Okay. What's your reason that I'm wrong about that? And I say you're wrong about X, Y, Z because I don't know. You said that that's irrational, but you're saying God does not exist. God is not necessary because the ground of all being is that's not God is I don't know. That's your position. So that's irrational even by your own terms. To say that God is not necessary as the single causal ground of being in virtue of I don't know is an irrational line of reasoning.
So why do you think he's necessary?
Because he's revealed himself in everything. Your own self-consciousness reveals God. Because if it didn't, then your mind wouldn't be rational. It would just simply be a cosmic accident. So unless our consciousness is a indication and emblematic of that which is ultimately a mind who gifts us to be like him, right? That the rational begets the rational, right? Then we can be rational beings. But if you say you're a rational being that emerged from non-rational states, how does that work? So you see, you just want to believe in naturalism and materialism and atheism because you don't want to acknowledge that the world is emblematic of God. You don't want to acknowledge God. That's why you don't believe.
I don't think I don't want to. I think it would be better if there would be a God.
No, if you wanted to, you would accept that the world exemplifies design, but you refuse to.
Well,
All right,
I
Mark,
mean,
I'm gonna let you take over because I got to go into a store.
Okay. So I don't know where we go from here.
Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
I mean, we can give the proof, but you might have to do more study to understand it.
I've been reading the book. What is it called? The book where about the Christianity.
What?
I've been reading the book about Christianity. I just forgot the name.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. So what do you mean? Another question. Like, what do you mean by abortion is child sacrifice? So you think it's a bad thing? Like abortion is bad?
Yeah, you're unaliving a preborn baby. You're sacrificing it for a false idol. The false idol being like an ideology or something that perhaps like the woman's ability to choose is more valuable than the life of the preborn baby.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome, Patrick. Joseph.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what a gentleman name does at the bottom there, because I'm kind of in some kind of motion of moving up and down.
What are you talking about?
The guy was talking to the young lady. What's his name?
Darth.
Darth?
Darth Dawkins. Yeah, he's a celebrity.
Oh. What kind of word? What is this? A bunch of word salad he's talking out of his mouth? And if the young lady say God doesn't exist, and once you have to prove a God, God doesn't exist.
Well, God would be the thing that makes a fact true, right? So what would make a fact true if it's not God?
God would make a. Come on, son. You guys playing around with words, man. That's what you guys doing.
How am I playing with words? So
that's what you guys doing.
How am I playing with words? So God would be
the thing that makes facts true.
Excuse me. Can you control
and
yourself?
What makes facts true? What makes facts true?
God does. So God would be the standard of truth. So
just saying God does. That's what makes it true.
No, the transcendental argument. If we compare starting point beliefs, so we start with Christ, and we say that Christ is like the standard of truth. He's the source of truth.
Saying God and Christ and saying a bunch, repeating God and Christ, that doesn't make it true. And
Why are you Why are you such a jerk, dude? You have no. Were you raised like in the jungle or something?
Yeah, because a while ago you just manipulating a young lady and talking a whole bunch
But
of
you have
words.
no man. Can you show some manners, dude? Like, what's wrong with you? So, like, God would be the standard of truth, right? So, what would be your standard of truth that's not God? Like, how would you know what's true?
Do you know what truth is, man?
Thanks for coming. Yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, what a jerk. So, anyways, he's like trying to white knight for Josephine. Yeah, he interrupted her when it was her turn. But anyways, yeah. So abortion's child sacrifice because you're sacrificing a preborn baby to like a false idol of like an ideology or something.
So do you think it's wrong to get IUDs?
Yes, because I looked into that, and while it does prevent conception, it doesn't always prevent conception. So there'd be the potential for schmurder in an IUD.
Okay. Well, I guess I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you too.
Come on, atheists. Proofofgod.me. That's a interesting name. Hello. Welcome.
What's up, man? I was in the live like a few nights ago asking Darth some questions. I know he's not here right now. I'm working on a project right now where I'm trying to compile apologetic arguments and stuff. And I'm wondering if Darth has any, like, if he has his own website or like a forum page or something.
No, he doesn't have.
He does. Get on his ass about that, please. Seriously.
Why?
It'd be a great service if he did compile.
I think he has time to do that.
I know, but it'd be so great if he did. It'd be great. Does he have a YouTube channel? You know?
He's compiled a huge library of like apologetic material.
Where is that?
It's on his hard drive.
Damn it. Okay. Well, okay. So he doesn't have what?
What are you looking for? Like arguments? You're looking for people.
Yeah, I'm just trying to propagate the information, disseminate the information.
Well, I mean, there's you could look into like Bonson books, The Objective Proof for Christianity.
Yeah, I mean, I've studied the precept stuff pretty intensely, but I don't know. He's got a lot of like. He condenses arguments so well into like a single sentence, like God is the rational force that makes everything irrational rational or something. And I don't know, what he says just makes so much sense, and I just want to like see if he's got a bunch of bangers back to back to back on like an article or something, but I guess he doesn't. So he needs to have a website, man. You need to get on him about that.
There's like a million videos about him on YouTube, so
I know,
you can always go through those.
I guess I'm gonna have to start.
He's very repetitive and redundant. So
okay, I mean, for me that would be beneficial, I think, but yeah, okay. So he doesn't have a website, a forum page.
No, that's like Matt Slick has that. I don't think Darth has anything like that.
Dang, dude. Why? He should. I don't know.
He's not. I mean, he does a lot of work. That's a lot of work to do that stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, he reads a lot, and then he does his debates a lot. So I'm sure. I don't know what he does with his personal life, but he probably just doesn't have the time to do that, I imagine.
Okay. I'm wondering if you have a response also to the Christ copycat theory in the zeitgeist. theory. If you've ever seen the
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I used to believe that they just. I mean, I don't. I'd have to like look into it. I don't have like really, but I know that like they embellish a lot of the similarities. I guess there really isn't these similarities. Like they say that Jesus and Horus is like the same story. What they're pushing there is like astrotheology. It's the idea that like Jesus is the sun, and then the 12 apostles are the 12 signs of the zodiac, and like telling a story about astrology or something.
Right.
It's just like goofy stuff. Really nothing like academic behind that.
Yeah, I've heard that it's been like pretty academically rejected by most scholars and stuff. There's so many people who believe it. Like I just keep going into debates with like my family, dude, and like that's what they believe, and they, I can show them. Like people say like, Horus had like 12 disciples, was like raised back to life after the third day, stuff like that, born of a virgin. But then if you go back to like the actual like Egyptian texts and stuff, and you look at the source and stuff, none of those claims are true. They're not true at all. But it literally, but then they jump onto like Dionysus, then they jump onto like Mithra and Mithras, stuff like that. They just keep going, pushing the goal back further, and it's really annoying. But I don't know. Okay, I appreciate it, man. You keep it up, okay?
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I haven't gotten into a whole lot. I know that like so think about like. This is actually I'm stealing like a Josh Bowen thing he said, where he said like think about Eminem or like a musician. They'll take references from previous songs or maybe beats from previous songs or lyrics. But just because they reference other stuff doesn't mean they're not like creating something new. And so when we create like the Jews create their religion, they're referencing like Babylonian cosmogony and stuff, but just because they're referencing things in other cultures doesn't mean they're like not creating something new. Like Eminem's creating a new song, even though he might reference like or use a beat from another song.
I don't know. It's pretty interesting perspective on that. A good point. Okay. God bless, man. I'm just gonna like listen in the background. Take care.
No one's requesting. We got Atheist Keyboard Warriors. Have I solved P1 of tag? Oh my gosh. I think you mean have I defended P1 of tag? Or have I justified P1 of tag? Have I solved it? It's not a problem. It's a premise. So P1 of tag solves your problem, Brandon, of being irrational. That's what P1 solves. So when you ask when like J Mike, they ask for justification of a P1 of tag, it shows they don't understand tag. They're trying to. It's a metalogical argument, and asking for a justification of P1 is trying to make it like a logical argument. Basically, you're trying to force it into something it's not. Because we're arguing about starting points, so we're saying the Christian worldview is the necessary starting point. So that is the defense of P1 is the Christian worldview is the starting point. That's the defense of P1. So what would be the starting point that's not the Christian worldview that's coherent, that doesn't contradict?
Yeah, so you can start with an assumption because an assumption is already irrational.
Everyone starts with assumptions. So
actually we don't. I start from the bottom up. You start from the top down. That's the difference.
Bro.
I start with what I can show. You start with what you can't show.
Incorrect.
And work your way down from there.
Incorrect.
That is correct. That's exactly what you're doing when you insert God. You're inserting in an assumption.
Oh, okay. You have a starting point, right? And I have a starting point.
Yeah, I exist. That's my starting point.
Okay, but that doesn't work because
it actually does work because I can prove I exist.
It actually doesn't work because
are you going to turn into a whiny bitch because I proved you wrong?
Doesn't work because when you say I
why
exist,
doesn't it work? I exist. It's a perfectly logical place to
relax,
start.
behave yourself.
No, you're getting upset. You're getting upset because I destroyed you.
Yourself. When you say I exist,
when you say
why
that
are
you want
you
me to calm down, you're
Brandon,
actually projecting, and you shouldn't
yourself.
project.
Brandon, behave yourself.
Stop
Please.
projecting.
I don't want to have to kick you. I don't want to have to kick you. Please.
I don't care if you kick me. I've already proved you wrong.
What is wrong? What is wrong with
you? You've already been roasted.
Okay, Brandon. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. You suck.
Okay. There we go. That's the face of atheism. I exist, therefore there's no God. Genius. So, when you say I think, therefore I am, what is the I? There has to be like content. You're assuming language. You're assuming unity. There's an I. Is the I physical or mental substance? Are you in a simulation in a computer? Are you in a dream? Are you in a physical world? What does it mean to exist? So Van Til calls it a rock in a bottomless ocean because sure you have a rock, but the rock has no place to land. It goes nowhere and it does nothing. Welcome, boss.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, I want to discuss what you said earlier. Like you think, therefore I am. Like that was a good starting position, I think.
No.
Also, it was like Picard said something like that. These are the only two things you can know for sure, and for the rest, it's all based on what you think is evidence enough.
Right, but he was wrong, and that whole project has failed, and it doesn't work because a bunch of rationalist philosophers, they want to start with like self-evident truths. Descartes was a dualist, I believe, and then there were rationalist philosophers that were atomists, and there was a rationalist philosopher that's a monist. So how do you know whose self-evident truths are correct? Everyone has different self-evident truths, so that rationalism doesn't work.
Yeah, but I think therefore there are a lot of different beliefs, because the only thing you can know is that you exist because you can think, and for the rest, yeah, for everybody the evidence is different. For me, my starting point is I can't know everything for sure unless I have some kind of evidence, and the evidence for me is based on what I observe in the universe. But for somebody else, it might be completely different. So therefore, I think different people have different beliefs.
So that doesn't work, though. So that's why I'm saying, like, you should start with Christ, because that system is coherent, and what you're saying is incoherent and irrational.
Yeah? Well, because why is it wrong to come from a starting point from I don't know for sure, and unless I have the evidence that convinces me I'm gonna believe something? Why is that the wrong starting point?
Because even to be like a fallibilist, you need something that's like absolute and unchanging to secure like probabilities. You don't even have probabilities to be a fallibilist. So to have knowledge at all, we need something absolute and unchanging. There's no way of avoiding that. And that's God. So God's necessary for knowledge.
Okay. I'm noticing my English isn't really good enough for this, but I'm just understanding half of it. But thanks for the discussion.
Yeah, my bad. All right, you're welcome. I wish you well. Yeah, there's like philosophy barrier and a language barrier. There's like two barriers. So that's not good. That equals a not good. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Where are you from?
America.
America. I'm from the UK and it's 11 o'clock at night.
Nice.
How's your day going?
It's going well. Would you like to send the topics?
Yeah. Debate live. Christianity is proven. I was having a conversation with somebody online the other night, and they blocked me because I had a comment to make. Like people always say, like God gave them the strength. Like when they were down in their most darkest, like when people are down and they're in their darkest moments, and they say God gave them strength. I mean, I'm not mocking anybody's faith, but it seems like every human being has the ability to have their own strength. Like, why do we need to when we're down at our lowest moments? Why do we need to give credit to like the likes of God that gave us strength? Why can't we believe that we have our own strength to pull us up from when we're down?
Well, because that's a lie. So we're in a fallen state, and any attempts of humans to like free ourselves from our situation will result in enslavement. And the only way we can achieve freedom is through Christ. Our human efforts alone cannot do anything to fix the situation that we're in.
But I mean, I'm to put it in the context, right? I like to run. This might seem like a tangent, but I like to run marathons and I like to keep fit. And when I go out and pound the pavement and I run and I achieve marathon good times, and people always tell me, "Oh, God gave you the strength to pursue your joy in marathon running." It's like, well, no, it's me that does the sacrifice. It's I'm
No.
the you can only count on yourself. Like when you're down, you can only count on yourself to bring you up.
Well, then you're
Like,
screwed.
how do you mean I'm screwed?
Because you're utterly dependent on God for like all your actions and your reason. And I mean, it's obvious when we look at the world. The problems that we're dealing with today are the same problems that existed in the Bible, like
Oh well, we're
poverty.
dealing with lots of problems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like war, poverty.
Oh yeah.
So humans are never going to fix these problems. So we need
But
God.
I mean, doesn't it seem more like every human being has the ability, like look within yourself. You're like there's I mean uh, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like take God out of the equation, and like you as a human being, as a person, an individual, has the ability to pull yourself out of any hole that you're in. Like whatever you're going through in life, whatever trials you may face in life, you have the ability, your own self has the ability to pull yourself out of that predicament. And then when you say that God helped me pull myself, like I believe it's stronger for your own being to say that you did it, that you were the one responsible for helping yourself. But I don't know whether you were addicted to drugs or alcohol, whatever. You were the one that pulled yourself out of the hole, and yet, I mean, you will rely on an external being to say, "Well, he helped me." I mean, whatever helps you get through life, credit. You do deserve credit, but I believe that at the end of the day, it's your own strength. You shouldn't have to say somebody else helped me. It's more being to say that I helped myself.
So you're promoting like sort of like this Nietzschean idea where that like man acquires power and then uses the power to do the good. But like I have like a Christian perspective where I think that power corrupts and like Lord of the Rings.
it's not power. I mean, I've had a friend who was down in the dumps. I mean, he went through a lot,
It is
and he said
power.
to himself, he said to himself, he found God. I mean, like I'm not criticizing him for finding God. He said to himself, he found God, and God helped him pull himself out of the slump. And I said to himself, Paul, you were the one. Like, you had the strength in you all along. It was you, like, I mean, if you pick an atheist, if you have two individuals, an atheist and a Christian, and they're both going through the same moral situation, and one says, right, I'm going to believe in myself, I'm going to pull myself out of the slump, and
Yeah,
the Christian person
it
says,
doesn't work.
well, sorry, go on.
It doesn't work because you're the victim of like powers beyond your control, and there's no meaning or purpose in your life, and uh, no one is there. No one has your back. You're all alone. That's the situation you're in as an atheist.
Well, that's my life in a nutshell, buddy.
Right. So
I, I
God,
rely I rely on myself to get me through the daily struggles.
as a Christian, God's always there for you. He never abandons you. Like people will abandon you.
Oh, they
But
do, they do, they do,
God,
they do.
God gives you purpose and meaning, direction, and um, God. When we trust in God, we're not powerless to forces beyond our control because we have faith that God is going to take care of everything. So it solves this problem of alienation.
And what happens when he doesn't? Or like what happens when he doesn't?
What do you mean? He's going to fix the world. We're in the process of redemption. He's going to fix everything.
I I like to keep an open mind about all things, and what I see is I see people pray to, like, I've seen a lot of things in my life. I mean, I'm 45. I don't know what age bracket you're in, and I mean I've seen a lot of things, and what bothers me is when you watch. I mean, take for example football. You'll watch these two sets of teams go out, and they'll do their Christian symbols, they'll do the cross, and they'll go on, and they'll pray for a good game or pray for a win. Now, one team's obviously got to lose, and one team wins. So when both teams go out and pray is equally hard to win that game, one team loses and one team doesn't. Does that mean does that mean God picked one team to win and the other one was didn't play hard enough?
No, we have freedom, so our choices and actions affect the future that we make.
So if God answers the prayers of some, like you could have two parents, both of equal disposition, like they pray for their kids to be looked after, and one set of childs, like a child might have an ailment and they survive cancer, and another child doesn't survive cancer, and both parents prayed equally to God to help protect their child. And like I said, one child perishes, and the other child doesn't. Does that mean God picks and chooses who he wants to survive?
Yeah. It has nothing to do with the prayers, though. God would dictate who lives and dies, regardless of prayers.
So he picks and chooses.
Uh, sure, yeah.
It just that sort of baffles me. Is like, I mean, like you hear a lot of people praying to say like, God, watch over my child. I don't see a deity like, if your child's walking to school in the morning and they have to walk miles to get to school, is God going to intervene on like a potential like bus going up on the curb and running over that said child? If the Christian person that prays to their God for their child to be protected, does like he doesn't intervene. He watches, but he
No,
doesn't intervene.
He
He
does.
loves.
He does intervene sometimes. Most of the time, he doesn't.
And how would you describe an intervention of God's actions?
How would I describe it? I wouldn't. How would I tell the difference? How would you know the difference?
Well, like I said, I mean, two parents equally pray to God for their child to be looked after. They pray for their child to be cured of cancer. One child, one child miraculously,
Okay, but your mental is all.
one child
Stop!
miraculously gets cured of
Stop!
cancer.
Stop!
Oh,
Stop!
calm
Stop!
down.
Stop!
Okay,
Your mental. You're looking at it all wrong. It has nothing to
hi.
do with prayers. God's going to determine who lives and dies. Now, God
So
listens
if
to
it's nothing to do
prayers
with prayers, why do we pray?
to have a
If it has
relationship
nothing to
with
do with
God.
prayers, why do we pray?
To have a relationship with God.
But you just said it's nothing to do with prayers. So what's the point of praying
Yes.
if it's nothing to do with prayers?
To have a relationship with God.
But you literally just said it's nothing to do with prayers. So if two people pray for their child to be looked after, one dies, one doesn't. So God picks and chooses who he wants to survive.
Yes.
Well, that's just wrong. I mean, how can you pick and
Okay.
choose who
Well, who do you
who's
think?
worthy and who's not?
Who should pick and choose? That's not God. Who should decide then?
Nobody.
Nobody. Well, so no. Well, then
You're
nobody.
telling me you're telling
Stop.
me an
Stop.
almighty
Stop.
being.
Stop. So then nobody unalives, and if nobody unalives, now we've got how many people on the planet, and people have to start living in the water because there's no room on land. So we have to people have to stand in the water because
Right.
nobody unalives. So that's the world you want?
What's your name, buddy?
Priest.
My name's Stephen, by the way. Sorry, no, it's nice to meet you and it's nice to talk to you.
Right.
I just want to say it's nice to have a conversation where it's not ugly. I mean, it's nice to meet you, but if God picks and chooses who he wants to live and die, so when we pray for our childs and our loved ones to be looked after, there's no guarantee that they will. So what is the point of praying for them to be looked after?
Because sometimes God chooses to answer prayers, so plus
exactly.
it builds a relationship with God. Like a child builds a relationship with their parents because the child is always asking their parents for stuff. That's how you build a relationship. The parents don't always like give the child what he asks for because sometimes
the parents will nourish and the parents will do everything in their power to protect and nourish and raise their child in the best of their abilities.
Right, but the child doesn't always know what it's best.
They don't hope. The parents don't hope that their kids will be. They make damn sure that their kids are looked after and they're fed and they're watered and they're loved. Whereas when you ask God to protect your child, you hope that he will, but the chances are, they might get run over by a bus, they might be stricken down with leukemia, they might get shot, anything bad might happen to them. And if you pray to your God for your child to look after, and your child, or not just a child, but anybody that you love, isn't, you might say, like, I want you, dear God, I want you to look after my friend.
You're just
Yeah?
rambling. You must be on the piss.
No. I'm very passionate.
You're very passionate.
Yeah.
Okay. Kids will ask for things from their parents. That builds a relationship with the parents. So Christians ask for things from God. That builds a relationship with God. Now, the parent doesn't always give the kid what they want, because if they did, what's the kid's gonna have, like breakfast, ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? No, that would be bad for the kid. So sometimes God, like the parent, God knows what's best and gives them what's best, even though from the kid's perspective they might not understand because the parent's being mean because he wants ice cream all the time.
So, like I said, going back to the point, God picks and chooses. Is that what we're saying?
I love how they always just ignore what I say. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm listening. I'm listening, buddy.
You're
I'm
not.
listening. So what's your point? The point I'm trying to make is, if you have people praying to God for them to look after their siblings, for them to look after their kids, and then their siblings or their kids die, or whatever, they befall an accident, does that mean God didn't look after them? Their prayers weren't answered? So you have two sets of people who pray for the same thing.
God, I've told you this like 10 times. You must be on the piss because you have no memory or something. So God doesn't always answer prayers. He listens to prayers, but he doesn't always answer prayers.
So what's the goddamn point in praying then if he doesn't answer them?
To have a relationship with God.
I'm sorry, but if you pray for your kid to be looked after on the hope that he's listening, I'm sorry, but you need to do your job as a parent and look after the kid yourself. Like hope is an illusion.
Do parents
hope
always,
is an illusion. No, hope is an illusion.
Do parents always answer the prayers of their children?
Parents look after their kids no matter what.
Dodging coward. See, if you're a Christian, you wouldn't be such a pussy.
Are you a parent?
No.
Right. Now, are you a Christian?
I'm not a coward, though.
Okay,
yeah.
Are you a Christian?
Yeah, I'm not a coward.
No, are you a Christian?
Well, yeah, because Christians have courage.
Okay, but let me say this. As a Christian, you wouldn't have just called me a pussy. As a Christian, you'd be
very
tolerant.
atheist of you to tell me how to be a Christian.
You'd be tolerant. You'd be tolerant.
No, Christians aren't tolerant of cowards.
Why not?
Because cowards...
I'm not a coward. I'm 45 years old. I'm 45 years old. I'm seen a few things.
You wouldn't even answer a simple question. Like, how more of a coward can you be?
What's your question?
You're afraid of a question, dude.
Okay, what's your question?
I forgot, but you were totally scared of it.
Like, can you think about your question then? Like, try and think back to your question. What's your question?
I can't remember. You didn't answer it because you're scared.
I'm not scared.
You are.
What am I scared of?
I'm being scared of. See, Christians can answer questions. We're not scared.
Okay, so
you should be a Christian.
What's your question?
Why don't you stop being a coward and become a Christian?
Okay, what am I a coward of?
You wouldn't even answer a question. A simple question. You ran away.
You can't even remember the question you asked me. What's the question? And I'll answer it.
I don't remember.
Exactly.
So what?
You don't, like, if you were a true Christian, you wouldn't have used the term pussy, because in all fairness, I mean, I'm not disrespecting anybody. If you were a God-loving person, you'd have tolerance. You'd have faith.
No tolerance. Christians are not tolerant of
but you'd have faith. You'd have compassion. You'd have empathy.
I love how he's telling me how to be a Christian. Like, he's like, he literally worships the devil.
I am the devil.
Pretty much. You're like,
but why
you don't need God. Just look within yourself. Look within yourself.
I'm just confused. If religious people have their faith, it shouldn't matter what I think, and you should be more tolerant.
Look for the power within yourself.
To use the term pussy,
you don't need Jesus. Nobody needs pussy. Jesus. You just need yourself.
Nah. I love to have a conversation with Bible bashers. It's so funny. So you're not a parent. You don't have kids. You don't understand. And I bet you're in your mid-20s, 30s.
Did you have a father growing up?
No, he died when I was young.
That explains it.
You see, a human being has died, and you're just like, that explains it. You've no compassion for death. That tells me a lot I need to know.
Yeah.
You're not really religious. You're just pushing an agenda.
Yep, I'm pushing God's agenda.
Then why did you laugh at another person's death?
Because we use humor as a way to deal with tragedy.
I disagree.
Well, you're wrong.
Another human being has lost their dad at a very young age, and all you can do is laugh. As a religious person, I think you'd have a bit more sympathy. You lack empathy and sympathy. Two traits which I believe are very highly regarded in people that believe in religion.
You're mad that God took your dad from you when you were a wee lad.
No.
And that's why you don't believe in God. It's an emotional.
No, I don't give a fuck.
Sure.
I couldn't care less.
All right.
Death is death. People come and go. They die all the time.
That's why you're constantly talking about God picking and choosing who lives and who unalives. Because he took your dad from you.
No.
And you're still not over it. You still don't like God for doing that to your dad.
No.
It's obvious.
God didn't take my dad. The devil did.
No, God takes life.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Well,
people die. People die, and allegedly, he waits. He doesn't take life. He waits for life. God does not intervene in human. He doesn't intervene in the human civilization. He waits, apparently, for us. He doesn't kill people. Neither does the devil kill people.
He did in Egypt.
Eh?
He took all the wives of the firstborn in Egypt.
Who did?
God.
Oh, really? So God's a murderer?
No, he can't schmurder. You have to say schmurder.
No, you just said God took the people in Egypt, so that means he's a murderer. Seems a bit hypocritical, but nevertheless.
You can't listen.
Where do
they grow these people? So it'd be a contradiction in terms to say God's a schmurderer. But, I could explain that to him, but yeah. Atheists have like magic helmets. You can't see these helmets. But trust me, these atheist helmets exist. And the atheist helmet makes the atheist brain totally immune to like arguments. They have like a plus 20 resistant to logic. And every time you debate them, they hit all their saving throws. Welcome, Moon.
Hello.
What would you like to say?
I would like to have you pick a topic. I'm pretty well versed in all of these. Yep, pick a topic. Any topic.
Christianity is proven through the transcendental argument for God.
You want Christianity is proven?
Yeah.
That's what you want to discuss about. Okay. I mean, I guess you can say it's proven in the fact of that it is a belief, but it's not proven in the fact that there is another being that created us. You know?
No, I disagree. I think it's undeniable. Because here's my argument. If knowledge, then God. Knowledge exists. Therefore, God exists. It's airtight.
How's that airtight?
Well, you can't deny knowledge.
You can't deny knowledge. But how does God come into tie with knowledge?
Because knowledge needs things like logic, cause and effect, uniformity of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And only the Christian God explains all those things. No other God can.
Maybe, like logical reasoning is just something that most animals developed over time to not die. Evolution covers that pretty well. Darwin's theory, the better genes carry on. Logical thinking probably evolved during that time in our brains to be able to collect data, process data, and export it out, and be able to change our decisions later on in life to not die.
Is the evolution of the gaps fallacy? Because it doesn't follow that just because we evolved logic, that means logic would be accurate.
Logic's not necessarily accurate anyways. Nothing's really accurate 100%. 2 plus 2 equals 4 isn't really accurate. That's not an accurate depiction.
Necessary. It is necessary. Logic is necessary.
I'm not saying it's not necessary. I'm saying it's not accurate. Nothing's ever accurate.
Then you lose the debate.
How do I lose the debate?
Because in my position, logic is accurate, and yours it isn't.
It's not. That's the whole basis of science.
Right, so you lost. I won.
How?
You just conceded that logic isn't accurate. In my view, logic is accurate. So your view doesn't work, mine does.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna try to reword that. I wouldn't say your opinion on logic being accurate is even accurate either. Because it is an opinion. And if I believe that logic is not accurate, which no logic is accurate, no book is accurate, no word is accurate, no word of mouth is accurate, no thought is accurate, nothing is accurate, then your opinion is not accurate, and I do not lose the debate.
No, you lose.
Right?
You
right?
lose. No, you lose because when you say my opinion isn't accurate, based on the fact that nothing is inaccurate, that's self-defeating. Because if what you're saying is true, you wouldn't even be able to be in a position to say that my logic is inaccurate.
Okay. You try to measure out with a ruler. You try to measure out a full foot. Are you able to measure out a full foot and with a straight line? Completely straight. No divots, no little bumps in the molecules, nothing.
You have no ruler. God's the ruler. What would be the ruler if it's not God?
God's the ruler?
Yeah. How would you have a standard that's not God? It would just be your opinion. That's why you lose the debate.
I would say religion's an opinion too. There's multiple different religions. Right?
Well, there's opinion within religion, but it's ultimately based on God.
What's the fact on God? What facts do we have that God exists? I know you just put up the knowledge argument, but I want to hear a different argument. I know that's your main argument. That's your saving throw, right? You said we pull out all the saving throws. That is your saving throw. So,
God. So the only way we can, God has revealed himself. God has to take the initiative. The only way we can know God is if God takes the initiative to reveal himself in history and creation. And that's what we have in Christianity with Moses, Abraham, Jesus. God has revealed himself to us so that we can know God. And without that knowledge, you wouldn't be able to know anything because human limitations. Science can't really tell us much about reality.
Science can tell us as much about reality as we learn about reality, as we discover about reality.
It can't actually tell us anything about reality. That's something people don't know.
It can't tell us anything about reality?
No. It needs God because we don't have access to reality as humans. We don't have direct contact with facts unless God puts us in contact with facts.
Okay, question. What makes up matter?
Atoms.
Atoms make up matter. Was atoms listed within the Bible? Then,
Atoms. 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 Ato No, they weren't.
They weren't. What told you that atoms make up matter?
Science.
Science told you that atoms make up matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you believe that atoms make up matter?
Yeah, until there's new evidence, right?
Until there's new evidence. All right. So, hold up. I need to think of my words I'm going to use. Just let me collect my brain. You say something. Sorry.
All right. I'm kind of like snacking over here. What do we have here? So science operates within methodological naturalism. So it studies the physical world through observation and experimentation. It answers how questions, like how do stars form, but it can't address why questions about ultimate reality, like why is there something rather than nothing. So science assumes there's like uniformity of nature, the reliability of human reasoning and senses, and cause and effect. But science can't prove any of those things. So like why does nature obey laws? Science just assumes this uniformity, but it can't explain it. Why do we trust our minds? Evolutionary accounts reduce cognition to survival utility. That would undermine truth claims. What caused the universe? Science describes the Big Bang, but can't explain its origin without appealing to metaphysics. So science is a tool for studying the physical world, but it depends on metaphysical assumptions it can't prove. And God's revelation can prove those metaphysical assumptions.
Okay. I would like to say there is a lot of gaps within what we read and hear from the word of mouth of God and Jesus and their disciples. There's a lot of gaps we found throughout history, for our history, for science itself. It does define a little bit of science. The Bible has science. It's just there's a lot of loopholes and holes in general that we found have been untrue. And there's also a lot of insincerity that has been spoken in the Old Testament and New Testament.
The Bible doesn't make scientific claims. It's a book about God.
I think there is a little part in the Old Testament. I'm still reading the Old Testament. I finished the new one, but
it makes ontological claims.
Are you Protestant or are you like?
I'm Protestant. Yeah.
You're Protestant. Okay. So, have you ever read the Old Testament?
Yeah.
How far along are you in the Old Testament?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just study.
You just study. All right.
Yeah, I haven't calculated the percentage.
If you would like, I'm going to research a little bit more on the questions and the remarks you asked. Well, not asked, made.
Sure, no worries.
I'm going to leave. I will request later. I'm going to go collect and learn and gather logic.
That's admirable that you would do that. I commend you.
All right.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank
you. Yeah, a lot of people are really lazy. She's not lazy. She's taking responsibility to learn what I'm saying rather than just be lazy. Wow. Amazing. I think she has potential to become a Christian because she's going to go research what I said and she'll find out what I said is true. Welcome. Nico Bellic. Nico, it's your cousin, Ramon. I do try to understand the other side. I know the other side. Welcome, Felix.
Hi.
Hello.
Uh, well, I just wanted to debate a little bit of your position regarding, well, God being necessary for logic or truth or, well, objective truth mainly. And I mainly want to ask, why is he necessary?
There's a whole host of reasons, but I guess like we can only really talk about one at a time.
Sure.
Logic, the laws of logic are necessary thoughts. So necessary thoughts require a necessary mind. That'd be one reason.
Necessary thoughts based on what? What's the necessity, or what is it necessary for them to be there?
That they're true in all possible worlds. Philosophers consider logic to be necessary, that's true in all possible worlds.
Yeah, but considering how, well, biologically we function and what our minds work like, logic as a whole isn't really necessary or, well, a pillar for existence to be it, but rather our own way to determine how, well, things are. It's basically our own way through, well, our nature to determine if something is rational or not, basically putting two and two together. So I want to ask, why is logic necessary for things to exist or be logical if they're just our tool?
Because to even observe anything prior to humans existing, logic has to be true, because to even look at the world, to organize and categorize experience, you need logic. Without the law of identity, you couldn't categorize or analyze your experiences. If you can't categorize or analyze experiences, you can't have an experience. So it's necessarily true prior to experience, which means it has to exist prior to humans.
That's not true, because, like I said, our own way to determine if something is logical or to have an experience is for us to categorize and do stuff together. But nothing is telling me that a creature who can...
Wait. But to,
Yes.
but to categorize and analyze experience, you need the law of identity.
And why?
Because if nothing has an identity, then there's no category to put the thing in. There's nothing to even talk about without identity.
How exactly, though? Like, nothing having an identity is exactly that. Nothing
How
is
do
the
you?
opposite
You
of
can't
identity.
what would it mean to put something in?
Please don't interrupt me. It's...
You're
If
making
you
no
want to have a
sense.
conversation...
You're making no sense. No, you're not making sense, dude. So what would it mean to identify some or categorize something you can't even identify? That doesn't make sense.
Well, we can't see things besides... Well, how to explain it? Yeah, we can't see things besides the visible radius of light, but that doesn't mean that radius doesn't exist. Yes, we can categorize into visible and not visible, but at the end of the day, that's just based on our own perspective and our own nature. Again, the way we categorize and do stuff together is based on...
You're not addressing what I'm presenting to you.
I'm
To
addressing...
have an experience.
If you want to hear the
Listen
whole
to me.
thing, please don't interrupt me and let me finish. Because if you don't want to have a conversation, why have a...
My God. They just ignore what you say.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey.
What would you like to say?
I just wanted to ask you, why are you saying that Christianity is objectively like proven? Because you have only 20% of population believing in that thing, and you have the other 80. Like,
we don't determine what's true based on how many people believe something.
Yeah, it's not, but that doesn't mean like.
So I have a challenge, right? I have a transcendental challenge. So you have to provide the preconditions necessary to debate. For example, your model of reality has to have a concrete universal, because without a concrete universal, we have no logical consistency.
Yeah,
without logical consistency, we can't debate.
The thing you were just talking about, the logic logical thing. It doesn't make any sense. You, as a human, you are evolved from basically like one cell organism, and from that, like throughout the whole evolution, you were experiencing logic and things that are like proven to be connected to the evolution, and because of that you can't see the world and nature around you otherwise than with logic. But it doesn't mean that the logic is just from you. Like you have to see that because you are like you have evolved to that, if you understand me.
Evolution of the gaps fallacy. So over where I am, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Where you are, does 2 plus 2 equal 4? Where you live?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so that means 2 plus 2 equals 4 is universal. So where is your concrete universal that would be necessary to have logical consistency so that 2 plus 2 can equal 4?
when you okay, let's say apples. When I put two apples next to two apples, it's 4. We both know that. But if you have no one to experience it, it's just apples. No, it's just atoms that are existing there, and there is no logic about it. It's just reality. It's just existing. You can't. There's no one to see that.
2 doesn't exist in reality. It's abstract.
Wait, what? Say it again.
The number 2, if you have 2 apples, the 2 doesn't exist in the physical.
Yeah, it's the logic you are putting it behind you, because you are a logical thinking being. You evolved like that.
Right. So 2 it's called an immaterial object or an abstract object.
Yeah, so it's something we put behind that. Logic is something that we created, basically evolution created in us.
We can't create it. We can't create it.
It's something that like
it can't be created by humans, because if it's the case, it's
animals. Some animals has lower logical thinking than humans, and some is almost the same, like some kind of monkeys or.
Do you and me have the exact same mind?
No.
But is 2 plus 2 equal 4 in your mind?
Yeah, but there are some.
Stop. So 2 plus 2 equals 4 in both of our minds. Our minds are the same. That means there's a universal truth there. That's connecting that. Yes.
That's something we like created from our minds. There can be a human who will be fucking crazy and will see 2 plus 2 is fucking 5.
A human mind isn't universal. A human mind is finite. So a human mind can't explain why 2 plus 2 equals 4 in both our minds. We need
but there is nothing more than human mind. You just experience it, or like you don't. Like, what else you want? I understand what you are trying to explain me, but it fucking sucks. You are saying that there has to be some kind of God, because there has to be some kind of universal truth, but you are saying that basically you are putting God as the evidence for evidence of truth, and otherwise like evidence of truth for God.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm putting my position on the table. God's the universal that explains universal truths. How do you explain universal truths?
There is no universal truth. Everyone has their own. They are
debate, so you lose the debate. That's a loss.
No, how?
Because if there's no universal truths, there's no logical consistency. If there's no logical consistency, we can't debate. Thanks for coming.
No, wait.
Yo, what's up? My question is, what's wrong with like a eternal universe?
What's wrong with an eternal universe? Who's ever talked about an eternal universe?
I mean, for energy, it can't be like created or destroyed, right? it can only like change forms or get
True.
transferred, right?
True.
Hmm.
True. That's thermodynamics, right? But that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that doesn't
So
say, that doesn't say the universe is
So
eternal.
wait, how?
I don't know.
Because
Here,
with the big
let's ask
wait with the
ChatGPT.
Big Bang. Wait. Can I? With the Big Bang, that was only like the singularity. The universe was always there, but like it just the Big Bang expanded the universe. So I see no problem with the eternal universe
Okay.
or the universe just being inside a different state of energy.
I think the problem would be like you're not eternal, are you? So how would you know that the
I
universe?
mean, we're created of energy, right?
Okay. Are you
So
saying?
whenever we die.
Right. So is your argument that thermodynamics proves that the universe is eternal?
No, I'm just like saying since I'm not really too sure. I mean, I don't really know about thermodynamics, but I'm just saying like if energy can't be created or destroyed,
That
then
would be
the universe should be
thermodynamics.
eternal.
When you say energy
Okay,
can't be
then I guess so.
okay. So if I type into ChatGPT that the fact energy can't be created or destroyed, it follows that the universe is eternal. I don't think that follows. I'm pretty sure. I don't
Wait,
know.
what's the contradiction to just being in the universe just being a different state of energy before the Big
I
Bang?
don't know about a contradiction. We're just going with the logic is that energy can't be created or destroyed, therefore the universe is eternal.
Okay.
He is taking forever. Man. It's super slow. But I'm pretty sure that's not right. Like I don't think they're saying anything about the universe being eternal. And if you're gonna claim the universe is eternal, then it's like how would you ever know that? I think that'd be a problem. Because you're just finite, you're not eternal. Well, you'd have to have something eternal to make you think about the eternal. That would like give you knowledge. Okay, the law of conservation of energy states energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another. However, this principle does not necessarily imply that the universe is eternal. The concept of an eternal universe is a separate philosophical and cosmological question. So there you go. So while the law of conservation of energy is a fundamental principle of physics, it does not necessarily imply that the universe is eternal. The origin and ultimate fate of the universe involve complex cosmological models and considerations beyond the scope of energy conservation alone. Therefore, the relationship between energy conservation and the universe's eternity is not straightforward and requires a broader understanding of cosmology and physics.
So did God create the universe?
That's what I believe, but I know that because God told me that. Like science could never tell us that, right? Science will never be able to answer what created the universe because that's a metaphysical question. So to have metaphysical answers, we have to submit to God's knowledge, God's revelation.
Okay. Well, I might do like more research on this topic, to be honest.
I can't
And
believe
I
that
might
2
come
people in
back.
a row said this. I'm shocked. All right, man. Yeah, look into does science make metaphysical claims, and how do we justify metaphysical claims? Because to say the universe is eternal would be a metaphysical claim.
Okay, got it.
So I'd research that. Yeah, go for it,
All
man.
right.
All right, I wish you well.
You too.
Dude, 2 people in a row said they were going to do more research. That's crazy. Everyone usually just acts like they know everything. That's 2 humble non-believers in a row. I'm literally gobsmacked. I'm gobsmacked. Literally, I've been doing this for months. This might be the first time. No, there's probably been a couple more times, but it's pretty rare that happens. This Brandon guy's been waiting forever because he was acting goofy the last time he came up here. It looks like the string. Where are we at? We're almost at 3 hours. I should probably like wind it down pretty soon. I don't really like to go longer than 3 hours too much. So it takes for I have one live that was like 6.5 hours, and I can't upload it to YouTube because I think it's too long or something. A 24-hour stream, yeah, right. That would be the end of me. I don't think I would survive that. I've heard people make that argument before, though, that if the energy can't be created or destroyed, therefore the universe is eternal. That's actually what I used to believe. I used to think of science as like that's like treating science like a religion, because it's like all these scientific miracles, like we went to the moon, the success of science. People take science as the gospel truth, but science was never meant to be the gospel truth. Science was always meant to be like, this is just kind of our best concept at the time, and in the future we might be totally wrong. So science has never, but people treated it like, oh, the scientist said it, therefore God said it, basically. So I'm studying Eastern Orthodoxy. I'm reading a book on this. After Alexander the Great conquered Egypt, it was absorbed into the Hellenistic world and became influenced. After Alexander the Great conquers Egypt, Egypt's absorbed into the Hellenistic world and became influenced by its philosophy and religion. The impact of the Greek Empire on Egyptian life and thought cannot be ignored. The center of Greek influence in Egypt was the city of Alexandria, appropriately named after the young king who built it. It's not surprising that this was also the same city where Eastern Orthodox began and developed its unique doctrines. Indeed, it would be impossible to understand the origins of Orthodoxy without an understanding of the Alexandrian school led by such fathers as Origen of Alexandria. The worldview of Origen and those who followed him was thoroughly pagan. There were no Jewish or biblical elements in their understanding of God, man, the world, etc. Instead of Christianizing the dominant Hellenistic philosophies and religions around them, they succeeded in Hellenizing Christianity. The conflict between Jewish and Gentile interpretation of Christianity reached its climax in Alexandria. It does not matter if we use the metaphor of Jerusalem versus Athens or Antioch versus Alexandria. Two worldviews were colliding in that city. Friend comments, here is an entirely different interpretation of Christianity, claiming to be orthodox and gaining predominance among the Orthodox. In the leading intellectual center of the Hellenistic world, Greek Christianity was already beginning to divide between Antioch, penetrated by hostility to the pagan world, and Alexandria, where Greek intellectual values were respected and were being absorbed into a philosophic Christianity which owed much to Plato. One second. Okay. The apologists paganized the Egyptian church by bringing into the church the teachings of Plato and other Greek philosophers. The humanism of the philosophers displaced the Bible and enthroned man's reason, feelings, experience, and faith. The opinions of these philosophers soon displaced Scripture and eventually contradicted it. The historical reality is confirmed by every standard reference work, orthodox and non-orthodox alike. The origins of the teachings and rituals of Eastern Orthodoxy are found in Alexandria, not Jerusalem. The following citations represent just the tip of the iceberg of Orthodox and non-Orthodox reference works that document that Eastern Orthodoxy was pagan from the very beginning. Let's see here. Sola Scriptura. Oh, it goes, yeah. What's the evidence for Christianity? It would be a philosophical proof. The transcendental argument for God. Clayster, I muted you so Darth wouldn't ban you. That was a mute of love. Sometimes I mute people because I don't want Darth to ban them. I said act of love. Welcome, Clayster.
Hey, what's going on?
It's studying Eastern Orthodox.
Oh, there. You become an orth, bro?
No, I'm studying it to destroy it.
How to destroy it? What? Because you don't believe in church tradition as infallible?
Yeah, I don't think it's the one infallible institution. Yeah.
Do you think, or if you're Orthodox, you're still saved Christian as part of the church?
Well, I don't know, right? Because like every Orthodox, the people are different than the church, so people could have different beliefs than the church and claim to be like Orthodox, but they're actually maybe
right.
Protestant.
What do you think the bare minimum is for somebody to be saved as a Christian?
I never think about that. I don't give a shit.
What? Isn't that like isn't the Great Commission like isn't that the whole point? Like people should not go to hell and you're saved.
No.
Oh, what's the point?
The point of what? Christianity?
Yeah.
To change yourself on the inside so that you're aligned with God's will and you do the work of God that He set forth for you.
Is not the work of God to give the gospel and save others?
It could be a lot of things. It's nothing.
Well, I mean, the Great Commission is to every believer, right? I think.
There's no thing we have to do. There's no obligation for anything.
Well, it's like there's not an obligation, but if you don't do the things Christ commands, that's evidence you're not saved, right?
Who cares? Sure.
Well, no, that's like the whole concept of like by their fruits they shall be known, right? Like a good tree can't bear rotten fruit, and a rotten tree can't bear good fruit, right?
Right.
Right. So it's like it's not the Christian idea is that following Jesus' commandment isn't required to be saved, but it's something that will happen if you are saved.
There's no commandments. I would say it's love. We have a relationship of love instead of obligation.
Well, I use commandments as in like there's just like passages where Jesus is like, yo, if you follow me, you got to be like this kind of things. Like there's a lot of verses like that, right?
No, we have no.
No, isn't there like if you like he gives the two greatest commandments: love your neighbor as yourself, or love God and love your neighbor as yourself, right?
Right. Are you like not listening to me? So we have a relationship of love, not of obligation. Obligation, right. Love replaces obligation.
Right, but like James says, right? Faith without works is dead.
Okay, so what's your point?
What do you see in Darth Dawkins that makes you think, yeah, this guy's a good mentor for me?
Yeah, I wanted to come up to ask you the same thing, honestly.
He's just like the biggest alpha male I've ever met. Like I'm just like.
Oh, now you're just trolling.
He reeks testosterone and the father figure.
No, but actually, what is it about him that makes you think that yeah, I should follow this guy and I should listen to what this guy says?
I'm answering that question. The guy's read a massive amount of books. He's a genius, right? And he's the best debater when it comes to Christianity versus like atheist and agnosticism. And so I've been learning, I wanted to learn, I emulate him. I look up to him as a role model.
Your
But does it?
style would be to debate somebody, that somebody needs to reply, right? Like the style of quote unquote debate
You have a
that
counter argument?
Dark Dawkins adopts is like he's just
Okay,
gonna
sure.
say a bunch of
You're
random
gonna
shit,
put, okay,
right?
stop. You want to put your money where your mouth is?
Absolutely.
Okay, give me a counter argument to tag. So what? How do you have? What's your coherent theory of knowledge that's not Christian revelatory theism?
Yeah, sure. I believe that we cannot truly know something in the sense of knowing. However, we can explore the word based on our senses and based off physics and math. That is about atheism being irrational. No slavery in ancient Israel. I'm not a historian. Sorry, I'm a physicist, so I cannot give you a counter argument to that. However, if the Bible does mention, slavery.
You're talking shit about Darth. I was talking about Darth's argument. You have a counter argument to Darth's argument.
I'm not talking shit about Darth's argument. I'm talking shit about Darth's style of debate.
Oh my god.
The problem with Darth's style of debate is that he doesn't interact with the other person speaking,
I don't care about your
which is
opinion.
crucial for having a debate.
No,
You
I
cannot
think. Well,
call it a
yeah.
debate.
Darth. I mean, like.
He will let somebody on, right? He will let them speak for 2 seconds, and then he will interrupt them without any substantiated thing.
He's interrupting them because when they don't respond, when he asks them a question, they give a response, but it's not an answer that's not relevant to what he's asking.
No, see, the problem is that whenever you are talking about arguments such as Christianity, philosophy, theism even, or science, it's not as simple as just giving a straightforward answer. You have to preface
You're
things.
not. Now you're not responding to what I said. You're a son of a bitch,
bro.
Did you know that you're a son of a bitch?
I am responding though. They
You're
don't give.
responding, but you're not. You're ignoring what I'm
They
saying.
cannot. They cannot give out. They cannot give out.
Alex, you're a rude piece of shit. You're responding, but you're not answering. You're ignoring my question, so you're a rude asshole.
Okay, ask the question again.
Go to hell. I'm so sick of these people. Anyways, just go to hell, man. These people want to go to hell so bad.
No. You should tell them, P. Mars, tell them to repent and believe in Christ so they can avoid hell.
Go straight to hell. I don't give a shit. Welcome.
All right, so I have a question. You said that God bounds logic, right?
God's necessary for logic, yeah.
Did he create logic?
Logic would be a reflection of his nature. His unchanging.
So how can he create the universe outside the universe or outside of time?
Time is
creation is temporal.
Time is also a part of God's nature.
So time always existed outside the universe?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, the first moment.
outside space and time, there's nothing, right?
The life of God. The life of God before creation would represent the first moment of time, and then God creates, and then that's when physical time starts. Thanks, dude.
Wait, so how did you come up to that conclusion?
That's what the Bible says.
Could you read me the verse?
Well, Ryan Mullins wrote a book on this. If you're really interested, Ryan Mullins. What's the book called? Hold on. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. Divine God in the motion. The end of the timeless God.
Wait, that's the name?
It's a book we could look into.
I bet.
The author wrote some papers too. You might be able to find those on the internet. The Divine Time Maker, from Divine Time Maker to Divine Watchmaker.
I gotcha.
Yeah, look up Ryan Mullins, R.T. Mullins, and he's got papers and books on the subject of God and time. He says that even as a natured entity, that God, like time would be an attribute or property of God.
All right, bet. I'm gonna look into this.
Yeah. Time's pretty weird. It's hard to make arguments about time because, like, we don't really understand it very well. But
for sure,
there's a couple theories on it.
All right, have a good day.
You too. I wish you well.
Can I read a Bible verse real quick?
Yeah, this would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. 1 Corinthians 13. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith to move mountains but not love, I am nothing.
Amen.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
It's one of my favorite verses. Yeah. So, like, love is like we have to have love as our guide to our
Right. So, like, Darth being like the most knowledgeable and smartest guy is nothing if he doesn't have love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just making sure we're on the same page with that.
So, I don't know your point. Do you think he's not loving?
Oh, I mean, he obviously has like suffers from some kind of anger issues. Like, obviously.
Well, parents get angry at their children. Does that mean they don't love their children?
No, it just means that that's one of their parts of their sinful nature. But if a parent was chronically angry at their children, I would say that's abuse, and they should probably be taken to therapy.
Well, good thing you don't. You're just like a peasant in society.
A peasant? What?
Yeah, if you like made decisions that affected other people, that would be bad because you're a total moron. You'd probably be a good member of the Biden administration.
What?
You'd be a good member of the Biden administration.
I know. Well, I'm confused. Like
an incompetent person.
What did I say? I just said if a parent like is chronically angry and yelling at their children, that's bad. Like, right?
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah.
Right. So like when somebody's just like chronically angry and yelling, like that's a sign of a not just like a sinful part that they're trying to control, but like some kind of anger issue or some kind of psychological issue they have.
What do you think is a sign? What if someone like presents facts that support their position and then ignores facts that would be like refute their position? What is that?
You can rebuke that or correct them with kindness and gentleness as the scripture commands.
I ask you a question. What about people that present facts in a way that like only supports their position and they ignore any facts that refute their position? What type of person? What do you think about a person like that?
I think they're either intellectually dishonest or just very not smart enough to understand the truth of the matter.
Because you've said nothing in Darth's defense about the behavior of his opponents. So you're presenting only facts that support your position, and you're ignoring facts that would refute your position. You're ignoring what I'm saying, and I think you're like incredibly bad faith and intellectually dishonest. There's no way you can be so like. There's no way you can believe this crap. I think this is just like an emotional reaction. Like you just don't like Darth, and so you're grasping.
No, Darth has been online for like multiple decades. Like there's compilations of him like screaming, like
Yeah,
uncontrolled rage.
if there was a lot of audio of you talking, we could probably isolate a compilation over 10 years of you talking. If we had you recorded debating people,
No,
we could probably cut and edit that and make you look horrible. Don't you think?
no.
No. Okay.
I don't scream at people daily.
You're insanely dishonest. He's a liar. Liar. Woo woo. Liar alert. Woo woo. I'm detecting mad lies. This is so dishonest. Like, what about never mentioned any? What about the behavior of the people Darth talks to? They never answer his questions. Why should he put up with a bunch of crap from like teenagers when he's a 63-year-old man? I don't get it. I never understand this criticism. Welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I guess you're a Christian, yes?
Yeah, I'm a Christian. Are you a robot? Robot?
No, it's not. Well, I just gotta say that, it's kind of subjective, all this argument,
This is atheism. He just left. I didn't kick him. Interesting. Guy had a really wet mouth. Okay, so anyways, the apologists paganized the Egyptian church by bringing into the church teachings of Plato and other Greek philosophers. The humanism of the philosophers displaced the Bible and enthroned man's reason, feelings, experience, and faith. The opinions of these philosophers soon displaced scripture and eventually contradicted it. The historical reality is confirmed by every standard reference work, orthodox and non-orthodox alike. The origins of the teachings and rituals of Eastern Orthodoxy are found in Alexandria, not Jerusalem. The following citations represent just the tip of the iceberg of Orthodox and non-Orthodox reference works that document the Eastern Orthodoxy was pagan from the very... I already read this part. So, 1. In 1998, Constantine Cavanos delivered a series of lectures at St. Tikhon's Orthodox Seminary in South Canton, PA, wherever that is. The lectures were well received by both faculty and students, and they were subsequently published under the title Orthodoxy and Philosophy. His comments should be considered as coming from one of the greatest Orthodox thinkers today. Justin Martyr, as a young man, he acquainted himself with the teachings of the Stoics, the Aristotelians, the Pythagoreans, and the Platonists. After his conversion, Justin continued to cherish all that he had found good in philosophy of Plato. Besides Plato, he particularly admired Socrates, who was Plato's greatest teacher, and the pre-Socratic philosopher Heraclitus. Thus, Justin says, those who lived according to reason, logos, are Christians, even though they were accounted atheists. Such among the Greeks were Socrates, Heraclitus, and those who resembled them. Athenagoras. Uh-oh. You
How's it
accept
going, Mars?
well. How are you?
Pretty good.
Nice.
So I know you live and die by the tag. We've been at it before, Mars.
Uh-huh.
Why does it have to be a omnipotent God in order for the universe to have separate properties?
Because the universe is like a jigsaw puzzle. So if you see a jigsaw puzzle on the ground, you notice two things about it. That the pieces are different, so it has a plurality, and that the pieces fit into one big picture. That would be a unity.
Well, couldn't you say the universe is an expanding jigsaw puzzle with more pieces added?
I'm
Like
trying to explain. You asked a question. I'm trying to explain it to you. I'm trying to dumb it down by using a jigsaw. When the universe is like a jigsaw puzzle, right? It's an analogy to make it understandable, so I don't have to use philosophy terms.
You can use philosophy terms.
Okay, so basically, ultimate reality has to be a co-ultimate unity and plurality. If ultimate reality is unity, then plurality is an illusion, and you don't have knowledge. If ultimate reality is a plurality, then distinctions aren't real, and then unity isn't real, and you can't. To have knowledge, you need both unity and plurality. You need an ultimate that's has unity and plurality, co-equal ultimate of the one and the many, and that's what the Trinity has.
Right. So let's say we have another like coming in a religion that's tri-omnipotent. Could you separate or could you interject that tri-omnipotent?
There's no other religion. There's no other religion.
Well, we can't. We in order to use tag, you have to account for the undiscovered.
Stop. We're not talking about hypotheticals.
Well, we are.
Incorrect.
Well, you're using a presupposition on an axiom.
Stop. So, imagine there's an alien anthropologist, right? And he comes to Earth to study humans. He's going to look at like how they describe reality. He'll say, "Oh, here's like the Christians. They describe reality by appealing to God as like a foundation for truth and reason, whatever." They go, "Oh, look, here's like another group, the atheists. They appeal to like the laws of nature as their foundation to describe reality. Oh, here's the Buddhists. They appeal to karma and the cycle of life to describe reality or something." So everyone has a starting point. So I'm arguing that Christianity is the only coherent starting point, right?
But that doesn't account for the fact that there could be another tri-omnipotent God that comes into existence.
We're not talking about hypotheticals.
Well, when you assume an axiom, like you're assuming an axiom, and this can be the only.
We're talking about reality. Is a hypothetical reality?
Well, when you're using an axiom that's not substantiated to prove it, yes, it is a hypothetical.
No, it is not. When we believe in God as a starting point, we're talking about reality. We're not talking about a hypothetical. So you can't introduce a hypothetical into a discussion about the starting points of reality.
Is God 100% substantiated axiom?
God is necessary to have an axiom. You wouldn't have axioms without God.
Is God an axiom then?
No, he's the necessary precondition to have an axiom.
So the things that are necessary for the axioms, they're not axiomatic. So the axioms.
Dude, what is not you got atheist brain, dude.
What are you talking about? God is an axiom.
God is not an axiom.
Describe how. Is he not self-evident in your worldview? Is he not the thing that can prove himself?
God is ultimate. Ultimate is an axiom. It's not the same thing.
Describe how, like, you're just saying he's ultimate, therefore he's not, but is he not self-evident in your worldview?
No.
He's not self-evident?
No.
How so?
He's self-authenticating.
Okay, what's the difference? So you're saying there's no evidence for God that God
Something
presents?
that's self-evident, there would be like no explanation for it, right? Whereas God would be his own explanation.
Well, then, if God is the explanation for the axioms, right? So those are self-authenticating. Do you believe axioms are all self-authenticating or just self-evident?
They're self-evident.
Well, if God is the explanation, then axioms can't exist in your worldview.
No, God would be the necessary precondition to have an axiom.
So that he's the explanation for why those axioms are there.
Oh my God. Yes.
So how can axioms exist in your worldview if there's already an explanation?
Axioms are starting assumptions and like logical systems. And
Right, but
you couldn't have a logical system without God as the ultimate precondition necessary to even have a logical system, which is where you would have axioms. So you can't have logic without God. You need God for logic, and axioms are parts of logical systems.
Right, so axioms are self-evident, right?
Stop. I'm making a metalogical argument. So this is prior to logic. When you talk about axioms, axioms are like parts of a logical system. So I'm arguing that God is necessary as a precondition to even have a logical system that would contain an axiom.
Right, he's the explanation for those logical systems. Yes?
Yes.
Then they're not axiomatic by definition.
Okay. You're just not understanding what I'm saying, I guess.
No, I think you're trying to like shift the goalpost, or I
Did you understand what I said there? Did you listen, Darth? Did you understand what I just said? Darth, did you understand?
I wasn't paying attention.
I said he's talking about axioms, and I was saying how God is the necessary precondition to have an axiom, because an axiom would be a part of a logical system, and you wouldn't be able to have a logical system without God as a precondition to make sense of logic in the first place.
Yeah, and what's his rebuttal?
Yeah, so what's your rebuttal to that?
Yeah, number one, we're assuming that God exists in 100% entirety. You're saying that it's objectively proven. It's not objectively proven.
Okay, I'm not hearing a rebuttal. All I'm hearing is a counterclaim. Do you know the difference? Do you know the difference between a counterclaim versus a rebuttal?
I'm not a professional debater. I'm just expressing my opinion.
Well, yeah. So you're failing miserably. Okay, so making a counterclaim is not a
Darth
rebuttal.
Dawkins, you wouldn't answer my question that God was tribal.
We're not playing your little games, little boy. If you want to remain on stage, you need to conduct yourself like an adult. If you don't, you'll be ejected without further warning.
Yeah, I know. You've rejected me before because I asked you if God was tribal.
Look, this is group therapy ended an hour ago. So this isn't a group therapy session for you to nurse your hurts. Okay?
Okay. Darth, I have a question for you because you kicked me when I asked you this question.
Stop. If I hear you talking while I'm speaking, I will instantly eject you. You made a counterclaim. You did not make a rebuttal. Please make a rebuttal to what PMR says. If you don't make a rebuttal, if you rabbit trail pretending you're giving a rebuttal, but you're not giving a rebuttal, you will be ejected instantly. I don't have to agree with your rebuttal, but if it's not a rebuttal and you're just filibustering, you will be ejected. So, please give a rebuttal. Go.
Yeah, my rebuttal is that you can supplement any tri-omnipotent God that's been introduced or not or discovered yet into this tag argument, and it could still work the same. So it doesn't objectively prove.
You are abysmally ignorant and inept. Okay, because you didn't identify a single causal first principle that you actually hold to that's identifiable and defensible. You talked about multiple models of reality in a generalization that is incoherent, because only one model of reality can be true, and it can only contain a single causal first principle in that true worldview. So you just committed a massive blunder. Do you realize that?
I don't think I realize it.
Goodbye, stupid.
Hey, Darth, I have a question before.
Yeah, goodbye, stupid. Okay. The level of intellectual ineptness is shocking. He talks about that there's multiple other models out there. Okay. There can't be, because they're mutually exclusive. They're mutually contradictory. What you invoked was literally something that is a self-contradiction.
I was trying to explain to him how like we all have starting point, and it's the starting point of reality. It's not a starting point of a hypothetical, right? When we're talking about starting points, it's about
We're
reality.
talking about what is the identifiable ontological ground of being.
He kept trying to do that. That's what he tried to go. Oh, what if I hypothetically had like this worldview that was exactly like Christianity, but like
Did you notice? Do you notice when I very clearly insisted that he give a rebuttal rather than a mere counterclaim, and he immediately tried to pivot to nurse his hurts because he hasn't gotten therapy for it yet.
You're gonna have to put some therapy books in your folder, Darth. Like I swear, I'm telling you. Like half the time, apologetics with the atheist is doing therapy.
Yeah, Rob, if you lie, you're going to get muted. So you're muted, not because you're disagreeing, but because you're lying, Rob. Bye, Rob.
I had this one guy come up and he was really angry at God, and he kept talking about like, well, God always decides what baby dies of cancer and what baby doesn't, right? And come to find out that his dad was taken from him at a young age. Gee, I wonder why he doesn't like God.
Yeah, well,
I try to make
God gives long life to some people he gives a short life. You know?
he lost his. I mean, that sucks. Like that's bad. I wish that didn't happen to him, but he needs to realize that he's like 45 years old now and he can't be blaming God his whole life because it's something bad happened.
Yeah. What would you like to say? What?
God is not real.
Okay, please explain.
So I have
stop
a
with
daughter.
Stop with the background noise.
All right, sorry. I'm eating chips here. So I have a daughter, right? That's my evidence.
Yeah, dude, please don't waste my time. You get one more chance. Please tell me why God isn't real.
I'm being 100% serious.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
So basically,
yeah, bye. Imagine having a father as dumb as that.
Lately, they've been appealing to babies, Darth. They've been going, baby thinks.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, would it make them feel better if no babies died? Only people over the age of 10 died.
They've been making this. I shit you not. A lot of people making this argument. But babies are born as atheists, and if babies are atheists, then atheism is true.
How do babies cognitively reject the proposition? Because atheism is the rejection and denial of a proposition.
What kind of argument is that? Like, what are we supposed to like base our standard of truth on?
You see how dumb these people are?
He's appealing to what a baby thinks to say something's true. The babies know what's true because their minds are pure. They're not tainted by knowledge, Darth.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Like multiple people have been doing that. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the expression, where do they grow these people? Have you ever heard that?
I was shocked, though. Tonight I had 2 people in a row said that they were going to do more research into my argument and come back with a rebuttal. And I gave them kudos because it's rare that we get someone to say something like that, you know?
Well, that's good.
I can respect that. Like if we're presenting an argument, they might not be familiar with the argument, and then it's totally understandable. Well, I can't give a rebuttal, right? I'm gonna go research it.
That's completely respectful and admirable.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. I absolutely respect that.
But what 90% of the time happens is they act like they know everything and they want to teach us how it is.
And when they get confronted and they don't have an answer, then they say really stupid crap that they know is just boulder dashing.
And then we're mean.
Yeah.
Because we don't let them say stupid crap. You're supposed to let your guests say nonsense. Darth, why don't you let them say nonsense for hours? Why do you stop them from saying nonsense?
Oh gosh.
Like, what if someone's just sitting here saying all stuff like, I talked to God and God said this, and we're just supposed to sit there and listen to this? Someone who believes that they are in communion with God, or like, hey, the aliens came down, the gray aliens. Yeah, I met this gray alien. He said there's no God. I'm supposed to entertain this stuff? Like, what? Why?
Unbelievable.
Just because they fluff their nonsense with a lot of like scientific terminology or like babble, it's still nonsense.
Well, it's embarrassing dealing with them. Embarrassing.
I told that to Olivia. It's like she has no self awareness. How embarrassing like her behavior.
No, she doesn't. Olivia's dumb.
They think just because like they're not yelling or using curse words that they're like behaving okay. It's not that.
Oh my
It's not that
god.
simple. That's what they're trying to do. Really, is they're trying to be calm and then make us freak out while they're calm. That's the whole game, right?
Oh my gosh. How
So it gives
pathetic.
this like appearance to like people who are uninformed that looks like makes us look unhinged or something. But when someone asks you the same question,
Well, they're so accustomed to debating with people who are their peers. They're not accustomed to dealing with people that are much more advanced than they are. Okay.
yeah, they also like have no idea when they lose the debate. They'll say things that make like them lose the debate, and they don't
He
realize.
just said there he said, and I'm going to use my words, not his, that there are multiple options for first causal principles other than the God of the Bible. Well, that's a contradiction in terms. And he didn't understand that it's a contradiction in terms. You can only invoke one. You can't invoke more than one.
Because one ultimate reality could say it's raining, and another ultimate reality could say it's sunny, and then which one is true?
No. What the issue is only one worldview can be true and be the ultimate singular causal first principle and necessary precondition.
Wasn't that what I'm saying in more simpler terms?
Well, no, I don't think it's as clear.
Really?
But the point is, it's very similar to them invoking worldview body doubles, right?
Well, yeah, he was arguing a hypothetical.
Notice he's not
Good
notice
lord.
he's not yeah notice he's not putting his worldview on the table as the rebuttal.
They never do.
So but you see, when you do that, you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah. I tried to explain to him that like our worldviews aren't hypotheticals. I don't. They have this idea that a worldview is a hypothetical. They don't understand that we're
Yeah,
making.
that's a good point. That's a good
They
point.
think because they think we're making a logical argument, Darth. In a logical
Yeah,
argument, we could entertain hypotheticals, right? But if we're doing metalogical argument, then hypotheticals
exactly.
are off the table.
Yeah.
They think of God as like a street level fact, where God's like a different. He's like I think of it as like a cosmic fact. As a way to like dumb it down. But yeah, I don't even know. People, it's just I struggle explaining this argument to people. That's the only thing about the argument.
Well, they're dumb.
I told that to Olivia. Olivia's like, can't you just like dumb down the philosopho speak? And I'm like, I'm literally doing that. I type into the AI like, help me explain this to someone who doesn't understand philosophy, and I'm like literally giving you that argument that the AI
Oh
helps
my
me.
gosh.
I mean, there has to be some philosophy because if we're debating, like we have to use like logic, right? If then, right? How do I prove something without a argument? I mean, there's going to be some philosophy in arguments.
Yeah, well, don't waste your time on Olivia anymore.
Yeah, hopefully. I actually just had her like sit on the panel as like a guest, like I had you sit on. It was just kind of funny, just for fun entertainment.
Well, she's a dope.
She really is. I got really into I got really into arguing with her, and it's like, yeah, I shouldn't even argue with her. When I was trying to make her understand how her behavior is like inappropriate, she doesn't get it.
No, she doesn't.
It's kind of like a flat Earth thing, right? You just gotta, some people you just dust the sand off your shoes, right?
Just annoying.
Some people are so crazy that if you talk to them, that means you're crazy.
Well, when people are being irrational, it's very rare.
What? You got flagged? Oh my gosh. I have to remove you.
Well,
you know, I might just end the live, Darth. Yeah, they flagged you for harassment for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just gonna end the live though. I've been going for a long time.